Chapter 29-26. Jia Liwen turned to look at the living room. It was empty, but the bag had been opened at some point. It seemed that the bottle containing the black sand had fallen onto the ground. Jia Liwen stepped forward and picked up the bottle. However, at that moment, Jia Liwen suddenly felt a powerful force sending her flying. Dong! Jia Liwen's body slammed into the wall. Then, a terrifying face appeared before her. It was a creature covered in red, white, and black fur. It was a tall and intimidating body. "Where is it? Where is it? Give it to me!" The monster let out a deafening roar. Jia Liwen retreated in fear. She did not understand where the monster had come from. She did not even understand what it was saying. "I don't understand what you are saying. Don't hurt me. Don't hurt me." "I see." The monster calmed down a bit. Its sharp claws were pointed at Jia Liwen's forehead. Jia Liwen turned her head in fear. She thought that the monster was going to use its claws to cut her skin. However, the moment the monster's claws touched her forehead, Jia Liwen's mind was filled with countless pieces of knowledge. "Where is it?" the monster asked again. This time, Jia Liwen knew what the monster was talking about. "What are you looking for? I don't have what you want. Or if you want something, take it yourself. Please don't hurt me. If you want to eat me, please be gentle. Maybe you should cut my main artery first." "Where is the main artery?" "It's here." To prevent herself from being swallowed alive, Jia Liwen told the monster the location of the main artery. "I don't eat people," the monster said, "but I have killed people with my teeth." "What are you?" "Wu Quan." "What are you looking for?" "As long as I have it, it will belong to you." "100 beast steel." "What is it?" Jia Liwen clearly did not know what 100 beast steel was. "Tell me where it is." Wu Quan suddenly moved closer to Jia Liwen's face. Jia Liwen watched as the huge monster approached her. She was so frightened that she retreated to the corner and curled up. "I don't know. I don't know what 100 beast steel is." Wu Quan bared its fangs. Its breath was scorching hot. "I really don't know. I can feel it here." Wu said, "I can feel it. It's very close. Very close. Maybe it's in your body." "I have nothing on me." Suddenly, the window shattered without any warning. A black figure roared as it charged towards Yuanwu and Carrie without any superfluous words. Yuwu opened its bloody mouth and spurted out a column of fire. Bang! The black shadow was hit by the pillar of fire and smashed a hole in the wooden wall of Carrie's house. Then a monster about the same size as Wu crawled out of the hole. This monster was pure black, and its body was steaming with an unsettling black aura. As soon as this monster appeared, it displayed an uncomfortable posture. It was filled with an aggressive and bloodthirsty desire. Roar! The two monsters roared at each other. However, the black aura on the black monster's body suddenly erupted, bringing with it a terrifying pressure. Yuan Wu's huge body was pushed back a few steps. Then, the black monster pounced at Yuan Wu. Yuan Shiwu was immediately thrown to the ground. The black monster looked even fiercer than Yuan Shiwu. The two huge beasts rolled and wrestled with each other. Yuan Wu could not get up. The black monster bit into Yuan Shiwu's neck. Yuan Wu immediately spat out flames, but the flames did not do much damage to the black monster. Yuan Wu's resistance grew weaker and weaker. Just then, Yuan Wu saw a sign on the ground. "Hurry, use that thing to smash it." Yuan Wu roared. Carrie, who had been curled up in the corner, did not understand what Yuan Wu was shouting. "Use what to smash it with?" "That sign. Mao Mountain Town's evil token. Hurry!" Yuan Wu roared again. "What is it?" "That thing on the ground in front of you." Under Wu's guidance, Carrie was finally able to identify the sign. Carrie gathered her courage and went to pick up the sign. The moment the black monster saw the sign in Carrie's hand, it immediately turned into a wave of black aura and escaped through the broken window. When Yuan Wu stood up again, he was in quite a sorry state. He shook his fur. Carrie held the sign in her hand. "Don't come over. I'll smash you with this." Carrie saw that the black monster had run away in fear as soon as she got the sign. She immediately regained some courage. But facing Yuan Wu, she was still filled with nervousness and fear. "This sign is used to suppress evil. I'm a divine beast. It doesn't work on me." "Is that so?" Jia Liwen looked at the token in her hand, seemingly eager to give it a try. "Also, you're not the Mao Mountain sect leader. What makes you think you can use the power of the sign? Can this sign kill that monster?" "If you know how to use it," Yuan Wu said. "What's going on? What's with that monster? Isn't it with you?" "It's Heiyu, a demon, and I'm a divine beast, Yuan Wu. We're natural opposites, like black and white. How can we be together? Then what does it want?" "The Monument of Beasts. It has the same goal as me. Do you really not know where it is?" "I don't know. But I can feel that the Monument of Beasts is on you." Carrie searched all over, but did not find anything. "I don't have it. How is that possible?" "I can smell it. The Monument of Beasts is on you." "I really don't have it." Xiao Wu came close and sniffed at Carrie. Suddenly, Yuan Wu's expression changed drastically. "How is that possible? How can you fuse with the Monument of Beasts? What do you mean by the Monument of Beasts?" Carrie was still very confused about the Monument of Beasts that Yuan Wu mentioned. "It's a divine artifact used to suppress all beasts." Yuan Wu said, "I'm a divine beast born from the Monument of Beasts. It's my duty to protect the Monument of Beasts. Now that I've appeared from the Monument of Beasts, it means that the beasts suppressed by the Monument of Beasts have all been freed. What does the Monument of Beasts look like?" This was still the question that bothered Carrie the most. She had never seen the Monument of Beasts before, but Yuan Wu kept saying that it was on her. In short, she felt that she was in big trouble, very big trouble. Yuan Wu could not tell her what the Monument of Beasts looked like, because the Monument of Beasts was ever-changing and had no fixed form. "Where did you get the evil order of Mao Mountain Town?" Yuan Wu asked. "Huh, you mean this thing?" Carrie asked. Ju Tian, Divine Emperor. Chapter 29-27. Of course, the Maoshan Town Evil Order can also be called the Divine Order of Lini, Yu said. Well, would you believe me if I said I picked it up?" Yu Wu chuckled at Jelly in a very human way, letting her figure it out for herself. "Picked it up?" The Maoshan Town Evil Order was one of the treasures of the Maoshan Town sect. How could she have picked it up? Yu Wu was a divine beast, so he was born with a lot of knowledge. Furthermore, he was born from the Monument of Beasts. The process of nurturing was performed by the cultivators of the Maoshan sect. As such, he was considered the guardian divine beast of the Maoshan sect. He knew the Maoshan sect very well. No one knew how many spells the Maoshan sect had, but there was no way he would just throw the Maoshan Town Evil Order on the street. Fine, I'll tell you I stole it." "Stole it? You? Who did you steal it from?" Yu Wu did not believe it at all. If he had stolen it from someone of the Maoshan sect, how useless would that person have to be? Furthermore, there were only a few people who had access to the Maoshan Town Evil Order. A strangely dressed old woman. She looked like she was in her 60s. Her clothes were green. Oh, right, everything in this bag was stolen from her. Yu Wu's pupils contracted when he saw the bag on the table. There was a very obvious mark on the bag. This kind of mark was quite common in the spiritual world. Some cultivators who followed the tradition would mark the artifacts they carried with them with their own marks. Seeing the mark represented the person. Yu Wu recognized that the owner of the mark was none other than Qingping Jinren. Yu Wu could not have been more familiar with Qingping Jinren. After all, he was born from Qingping Jinren's spell. Qingping Jinren was like half his mother. However, the Monument of Beasts had been passed around a few times among the disciples of Qingping Jinren. At first, Yuwu suspected that Jelly had stolen it from one of Qingbing Jinren's disciples. Yuwu lost his cool when he saw the mark on the bag. How could someone like Jelly steal the bag from Qingbing Jinren? Not even the best thief in the world could have done it. If she had taken it by force, a standard, fully armed group with strategic weapons might have been able to do it. Either Carrie was lying or Carrie was lying. Otherwise, Taoist Master Qingping had intentionally stuffed something into her bosom. There was no third possibility. However, when he thought about how Carrie had actually obtained the recognition of the 100-beast steel, he couldn't help but sigh. The 100-beast steel was currently in Jia Liwen's body. Perhaps Taoist Master Qingping had intentionally allowed Carrie to obtain these items. But now, all the demonic beasts in the 100-beast steel had escaped. Ma Wu was also very weak. Thus, Xiao Wu could only stay by Jialuan's side. San Wu came to the bag and reached out with its paw. The first thing he saw was the piece of yellow paper that Carrie had torn from the box. However, Carrie crumpled the paper into a ball. I tore it off a box. In an instant, Hu Wu was enraged. Roar, you damned woman. It was you who let the demonic beast escape. Carrie was scared out of her wits. Are you crazy? You fool! Idiot! You broke the seal. What are you talking about? I don't understand. That box is the 100-beast steel, and this talisman is the seal of the 100 beasts. You broke the seal. Nonsense. How could the seal be opened so easily? The seals in movies and TV series all require a lot of conditions. Because you obtained the 100-beast steel's recognition first, you are equivalent to the 100-beast steel's master. You naturally have the right to decide whether or not to break the seal. Hu Wu felt very stifled, because he didn't even have the right to vent. Carrie was now the master of the 100-beast steel. This also meant that Carrie would be his temporary master. Hu Wu didn't really care about changing masters. In any case, the 100-beast steel often changed masters anyway. He had also worked for Taoist Master Qingping's disciples and grand-disciples. It was just that his current master was Carrie, who was completely useless in his eyes. This was not as wonderful as it seemed. The master's ability determined how much strength he could exert, especially now because he had lost contact with the 100-beast steel. His condition was already very poor. What is this? Carrie picked up the bottle of black sand and asked, Don't tell me there's some devil sealed inside. This is black mica gold used to cast spells. It has a very strong restraining effect against evil beings. What about these? The same yellow paper as the seal. Talisman paper, used to draw talismans. It's a common casting medium for Taoists. Hu Wu said. At this time, Hu Wu took out a few more things from the bag. A Taoist scripture and a few casting tools. Hu Wu faintly felt that these things were used to train new people. Could it be that Taoist Master Qingping wanted to take her as a disciple? Perhaps the demons that escaped from the 100-beast steel were also a test for her. Since you released those demon beasts, then you must be responsible for capturing them. What? You want me to deal with those monsters? Like the one just now? Carrie was about to go crazy. Perhaps she had already gone crazy, and everything she was seeing was an illusion created by her imagination. No, that was a black yuga, not something you can deal with. Black yuga was a demon beast, but it was Hu Wu's twin brother. Hu Wu represented good, while black yuga represented evil. Hu Wu was connected to the 100-beast steel and guarded the demon beasts in it. And black yuga was one of the demon beasts in the 100-beast steel. And it was also responsible for devouring the demon energy of the demon beasts in the 100-beast steel. Hu Wu would weaken due to losing its connection to the 100-beast steel, but Black Yuga would become even stronger. He represented the evil of the demon beasts. If the demon beasts wreaked havoc outside, he would become even stronger. Although the 100-beast steel had a certain restraining effect on Black Yuga, but this was under the most ideal situation. The 100-beast steel could be used well in the hands of a cultivator with profound cultivation. At the same time, he also knew how to control Hu to unleash the 100-beast steel's true power and suppress Black Yuga. However, the current situation was that Yu Wu himself was extremely weak and feeble. The 100-beast steel was still in the hands of a newbie like Carrie, who couldn't even be considered a newbie. Black Yuga had been scared away by the Mao Shan Town Evil Order. He thought that Taoist Master Qingping was nearby. Actually, if Black Yuga hadn't run, both of them would have been finished. It wasn't a joke. If Black Yuga had been a bit more daring, he could have just charged in and everything would have ended. I'm not joking. Those demonic beasts escaped because of you. If you don't take responsibility for capturing them, then every time those demonic beasts kill a person, it will be on your head. Chapter 29-28. Angel, Coast Ashley, and Fei Lai were monitoring the shoreline from the watchtower. Ashley was Fei Lai's partner. Coastal lifeguards were like police officers. They all had a certain level of danger. The purpose of a partner was to have someone to help the lifeguard when needed. Fei Lai, do you have plans tonight? Ashley asked. No, Fei Lai said casually. Going home and spending a beautiful night with my family. Are you interested in buying a house? Ashley knew that Fei Lai and Fei Lai's man were rich, very rich. She had only been employed for less than a year and had never been to Qinzhou and Fei Lai's house. However, her colleagues would occasionally mention Fei Lai when they chatted. So she also knew that Fei Lai was very rich. As for how rich she was, she didn't have an accurate idea. Fei Lai glanced at Ashley. You're selling your house? No, I'm just working part-time, Ashley said. Ashley said, I have a very good house on hand right now. Are you interested? Fei Lai thought for a moment. She occasionally went to look at houses with Chen Zhao. However, most of the time, they used investment as a prerequisite. First, they needed a house with a good market. If it was purely from the perspective of living, their 2 large manors were enough for them to live in. Even if they wanted to change, it would be difficult to find a place better than their own manors. Unless it was pure land, Chen Zhao would also be interested. Of course, it had to be worth it first. I can go and take a look, Fei Lai answered. Ashley was very happy, even though she hadn't finished the job yet. However, she was still very happy. After work, Ashley and Fei Lai went to her house. It was a high-end, high-rise condominium. Fei Lai had seen many houses before. Seeing the location of the condominium, she had a rough estimate. Fei Lai followed Ashley into the condominium. It was a laminated structure with a total area of around 450 square meters. From the floor-to-ceiling window on the left, one could directly see the Hollywood Hills. The environment was very good. The condominium was in a bustling street, so the transportation was very convenient. It was also soundproof, so one wouldn't feel any noise, even if they were in a busy street. The interior decorations were also very high-end. With Fei Lai's experience, she estimated that the decorations cost at least $500,000. What's the price of this condominium? Fei Lai asked. The total area is 475 square meters, and the owner is asking for $5 million US. Fei Lai looked at Ashley in surprise and asked, Are you sure you didn't give us for $1 million less? One had to know that the price of a square meter in this area was at least $15,000 US. This apartment was top-notch in almost every aspect. Its location, property management, orientation, and environment were all impeccable. In addition, the landlord's own renovation costs were also quite high. Fei Lai could understand why the house was priced higher than the market price. It was impossible for it to go down instead of up. Although it was not a booming market for real estate, it was not a declining market either. It was a steady increase, so it was understandable that the real price of this house was between $10 million and $12 million US. But Ashley had only offered $6.5 million. This put Fei Lai on guard. Either that or Ashley had ulterior motives. Either that or she had been deceived. Yes, I'm sure the house is worth $6.5 million, Ashley said. Is there a dispute over the ownership of this house? Fei Lai asked. Don't worry. The ownership of this house is clear. It hasn't been mortgaged twice or thrice. Ashley was a novice broker, but the problems Fei Lai was worried about were the basics of the basics. If she did not know the exact information, she would not dare to drag Fei Lai here to look at the house. Some cheap houses had been mortgaged twice, thrice, or even thrice. Then they would sell it to someone else. After the buyer bought it, the house would be taken away by the first mortgager. It was complicated, but if someone really wanted to trick someone, there would still be buyers who would be tricked. Then I don't understand. Why is such a good house so much lower than the market price? Ashley hesitated for a moment before saying, because someone died in this house just 2 days ago. In the past 2 days, the neighbors have reported to the property management that they keep hearing strange noises that make people feel uneasy. The owner is eager to get rid of the house, so he plans to sell it at a low price. Fei Lai thought about it. If it was just because of this, she did not mind. She was not afraid of ghosts at all. Not to mention Chen Zhao, he could even take care of the kids in his family. I want this house, Fei Lai said. Tomorrow, you can ask the owner to come. I'll also ask a lawyer to come. Fei Lai first had to confirm if there was a mortgage problem. As long as there was no problem, everything else would be fine. Therefore, it was best to have a lawyer present. As for lawyers, Chen Zhao had a bunch of them. Any one of them could easily solve this problem. Ashley's eyes widened. Are you sure? It's $6. 5 million. Won't you reconsider? It's $6.5 million, not 65 million, Fei Lai said disapprovingly. Ashley did not expect Fei Lai to be so generous and make a decision so easily. It was unthinkable to Ashley. As for herself, she had to consider the consequences of spending $650. But Fei Lai was willing to buy a $6.5 million house. Let's go, Fei Lai said. I'll treat you to dinner. After all, Ashley had introduced her to such a good house. Treating her to dinner was also a way of thanking her. Ashley's mind was in a blur until Fei Lai brought her to Marina's restaurant. When she saw the prices on the menu, Ashley woke up in shock. The cheapest dish cost more than $100. Fei Lai, it's too expensive here. Don't worry. It's fine even if you order caviar. This is my husband's restaurant, Fei Lai said casually. Also, the most expensive thing here isn't caviar. It's deep-sea diamonds. The so-called deep-sea diamonds were actually the meat of the god of abnormalities. Because the meat was special, it was extremely delicious. It was favored by gourmets and rich people. However, Fei Lai and Chen Zhao did not come often. After all, what was here could be found at home. What was at home might not be found here. Ashley was speechless again. This restaurant had been in the media many times. Among them, the most common ones were the entertainment media. Ashley often saw news of certain celebrities dining at Marina's restaurant and so on. She did not expect the owner of this restaurant to be her partner. Chapter 29:29. At night, Fei Lai went home and told Chen Zhao about it. Chen Zhao didn't think too much about it. So what if someone died? It would be better if the haunting was worse. That way it would be cheaper. Even if they couldn't sell it, they could live in it. As for people dying, they didn't care. Even if there was a ghost, he could clean up. As for whether it was 6 million or 10 million, he didn't care. After you buy it, Fei Lai said, exorcise it. Although the kids could do it too. But Fei Lai couldn't ask them to exorcise her, could she? Chen Zhao was more used to it. Okay, I'll go when I'm free. The next day Fei Lai and Ashley took half a day off. They didn't go to the house, though. Instead, they went to Alex's law firm. Hello, Miss Fei Lai. I'm Richard. Richard knew Fei Lai. Fei Lai definitely didn't know him. Last time, when Chen Zhao and Fei Lai came together, she'd heard someone mention their identities. This time, Richard was personally appointed by Alex. Their law firm didn't specifically serve Chen Zhao's family. However, Chen Zhao was their biggest client. Chen Zhao paid them 40% of the firm's total income. Therefore, the lawyers had to do their job. Hello, Mr. Richard. Phelan nodded. This is my friend, Ashley. Hello, Miss Ashley. Richard's attitude toward Ashley was clearly much more distant. Ashley was a bit scared because she was in the law firm. Alex's law firm was rather large. It rented 3 floors of the business building. Every single person walking around here could make her bankrupt and ruin her reputation. She dared to point at the police and curse at them, but she didn't dare to breathe loudly here. Let's go. Okay. Richard nodded. After leaving the law firm and getting into the car, Ashley finally relaxed a bit. Richard drove while Phelan and Ashley sat in the back. Phelan, this law firm's fees are really high, right? I don't know. Phelan didn't know how much Chin Zhao paid Alex every year. She heard that it was tens of millions of dollars. It's free. Any service we provide to you is free. Free? Why? Because she's a VIP of our law firm. Richard didn't explain more to Ashley. She might not understand, even if he did. After arriving at the apartment building, the 3 of them went upstairs. Ashley had already contacted the homeowner. The owner of the house was in the apartment. After ringing the doorbell, the back door opened. The owner was a middle-aged man. When the middle-aged man saw Phelan, his eyes lit up. Hello, beautiful lady, I'm Tony. May I know your name? With that, Tony tried to kiss the back of Phelan's hand. Phelan pulled her hand back. Mr. Tony, let's talk business. This is my friend, Phelan. She's also the buyer this time, Ashley introduced. What about this one? Tony looked at Richard. He thought that Richard was Phelan's husband, so his gaze was provocative. Richard smiled at Tony. Hello, I'm Miss Phelan's lawyer. You can call me Richard. Also, from what I know, Mr. Tony's financial situation is a bit bad, so you'd better pray that this transaction goes smoothly. Otherwise, Mr. Tony might go to jail. Tony's expression immediately became unnatural. You investigated me? Do you think I won't sue you for invading my privacy? No, I'm just helping my client find out who she's dealing with and whether it's worth the deal, Richard said unhurriedly. Richard said calmly, This is my business card. If you want to sue my client, you'd better figure out who your enemy is first. When Tony saw the name of the law firm on the name card, his expression changed. Alex's law firm was quite famous in Los Angeles. Mr. Tony, do you have all the materials for the house? I don't want Phelan to come here for nothing. Her time is very precious. Richard still spoke in that calm and formal tone. Honesty is the prerequisite for a transaction. If I find that the ownership of the house isn't clear during the transaction, it won't be as simple as a failed transaction. Tony was a bit angered by Richard's tone and attitude. He really hated this kind of high and mighty attitude. I'm not selling it. Get the hell out of here. Richard still wore that professional smile and turned to Phelan. Sorry, Miss Phelan, for messing up this transaction. But don't worry, I'll make sure this house will never be sold. Then, I'll sell it to you at half the market price, if you're willing to wait a month. Tony's expression froze, but he still didn't want to give in. This is my house. All the procedures are legal. You can't scare me. If our law firm is afraid of heights and you've cheated during the transaction, then this house can't be sold before the lawsuit is over. Miss Phelan is our law firm's biggest client. She pays us $50 million every year. I think our boss will be happy to work for her for free. But how long can your financial situation last? Let me guess, a week? Or 2? Maybe Miss Phelan should call the bank and ask if they forgot your repayment date. Tony finally gave in. Ashley was also shocked by what she saw. With just a few words, Richard had scared Tony to the point of breaking down. I'm sorry, Miss Phelan, Mr. Richard. I apologize for what I said just now. Tony was really afraid that Richard would fulfill his promise. No, it wasn't a promise. It was a threat. When he heard that Phelan paid the law firm $50 million every year, he was even more shocked. What a joke. Just what kind of background did this woman have? $50 million. was definitely the service of a tycoon. His entire wealth wasn't even enough to pay her a year's legal fees. In this society, the rich could really do whatever they wanted. It was just as Richard had said. She only needed to call the bank. The bank would also be happy to help. So he had to give in when he had to. He really couldn't afford to offend this woman. "Okay, let's start the transaction," Phelan said. Tony obediently brought all the real estate documents to Richard. Even if he originally had some small thoughts, at this moment, all of them were gone. In front of a true expert like Richard, his tricks were nothing more than a child's play. He might very well shoot himself in the foot. Chapter 29:30. Miss Phelan, nice working with you. Tony reached out to shake Phelan's hand, but Phelan didn't. Richard stepped forward and said, "Mr. Tony, this place belongs to Miss Phelan now. Please." Tony could only turn around and leave with a smile. When he turned around, he muttered a few vicious curses. Pooh! Tony was about to leave when someone came in and bumped into his shoulder. "Who are you?" Tony saw that it was a woman. The woman glared at Tony, and he instinctively shrank back. The woman's eyes were fierce. "Who's the owner of this house?" Carrie asked. "I am. Is there a problem?" Phelan said, stepping forward. "There's something unclean in this house. I'm here to help you get rid of it. Of course it's for a fee." "Sorry," Phelan said calmly. "I have a more professional one, and it's free." She didn't care if this unknown woman was really an exorcist. "Miss, you might think that I'm joking." Fine, if it was not long ago, I would have also treated it as a joke if I heard the same words. But I'm not joking. Look at my serious eyes, and you should know that you're in big trouble. Phelan looked at Carrie. "I'll answer you seriously, too. I don't need it." Carrie was about to say something more, but Richard stopped her. "Miss, if you keep harassing my client, I'll send you to jail," Richard said rudely. "Ashley, let's go." Phelan left with Ashley. Carrie wanted to say something, but Phelan had already left. Carrie stomped her feet in anger. She yelled at Phelan, "You'll regret this, woman. At that time, you will cry your eyes out. You will kneel in front of me and beg for my forgiveness. You will beg me to help you solve your problem. Then I will kick you down. At the same time, I will kick away your arrogance and rudeness. I will continue until you use a large sum of money to beg for my forgiveness." But Phelan had already entered the elevator. She probably didn't hear the rest of her words. "Fuck, who is that woman the spiritualist you mentioned?" "No, she's a normal person." Hu appeared silently beside Carrie. Ordinary people are still so arrogant. Carrie spat on the ground and said unhappily, "When trouble comes, I want her to give me this apartment. Otherwise, I won't help her solve the problem." "I can see that your luck hasn't fluctuated much recently, which means that your plan will fail." "Fuck, I don't want to hear your voice," Carrie said with dissatisfaction. "Besides, are you sure you won't be caught by the surveillance cameras if you appear beside me so openly?" "I am an incorporeal form. Unless it is someone of the same kind or someone with a spiritual connection with me, no one else can see me." "Not even cultivators can see me," Ma Wu said. "Not even the surveillance cameras can capture me." Yuan Sherwu was not unfamiliar with surveillance. In fact, he was quite familiar with modern technological products. There was once a Mao Mountain disciple who held 100 Beasts tablet, and Yu was very familiar with that person. They even watched dramas and variety shows together. What is formless? To put it simply, you can treat me like air. To put it simply, you don't need to eat dog food, right? No, I still need dog food. Then can you eat less? I earned $2,000 by catching and exorcising ghosts in the past 2 days, but it all went to your dog food. No, your luck has been decided recently. It's your destiny to eat dog food. You can't change it. Also, I want to eat beef today. Carrie felt that she had become very proficient in using words that began with F in the past 2 days. However, Carrie seemed to have accepted a new identity, a new job, and a new worldview. After all, ever since Yuan Shiru started working for her, her income had greatly increased. Of course, her expenses had also greatly increased. One of the biggest expenses was Yuan Shiru's food. Imagine a beast that was 8 times the weight of a lion. How much would it eat? Carrie was very upset. Every time she earned some money, it was all given to Yuan Shiru to eat. But without Yuan Shiru, she wouldn't have been able to earn that much money. She and Yuan Shiru were now twins. Yuan Shiru provided her with magic power, and she provided food to Yuan Shiru. However, Yuan Shiru was still in a weak state. This was because normal food couldn't provide it with enough power. So, Carrie needed to catch some evil spirits to replenish Yuan Shiru's energy. Of course, if Jia Liwen could capture a demon beast, Hua Wu would be able to recover some of his strength. Moreover, he would be able to return more magic power to Jia Liwen. However, Carrie could only deal with a few evil spirits at most. If she had to deal with a demon beast, even the weakest one, she could teach her a lesson in a minute. So, she had no choice but to temporarily find those evil spirits to practice with and give Yuan Shiru some nutrition. But after a few experiences, at least Carrie wouldn't be scared to the point of screaming when facing evil spirits. Why isn't the elevator moving? Carrie looked at the overweight sign under the elevator button and silently looked at Yuan Shiru. What are you looking at me for? I'm formless. I can't have weight. Then, do you think I'm 1,200 kilograms? Not me. Yuan Shiru turned his head and said. Carrie kicked Yuan Shiru's butt, and Yuan Shiru was kicked out of the elevator. Ding, the elevator moved. Yuan Shiru silently watched as the elevator door closed. However, when he was a certain distance away from Carrie, he turned into a puff of smoke and returned to Carrie's office. Although Yuan Shiru was formless, he actually had actual weight. No matter what, after eating so much dog food, the dog food was almost catching up to his weight. After Carrie walked out of the elevator, Yuan Shiru once again appeared in public. In any case, no one could see him, and Carrie did not care about it. By the way, let's go to a buffet. I think only a buffet can save my wallet. But I'm destined to help you spend money. There's beef in the buffet. That's enough. Okay, let's go to a buffet. Yuan Shiru instantly threw away his principles. Ever since Xiao Wu had followed Carrie, Carrie's appetite had been unusually big. One person and one beast went straight to the buffet. However, when they got in the car, Carrie also pulled Yuan Shiru off the roof. If he lay on the roof in his real form, the taxi would probably be scrapped. Right. Yuan Shiru's voice sounded in Carrie's mind. What's wrong? That woman, just now. You wanted her to beg you, but did you give her contact information? Fuck. Why didn't you say so earlier? 9 Heavens, Divine Emperor. Chapter 2931. Miss, these are for a fee, the waitress reminded Carrie warmly. The high-end drinks were all paid. Carrie's hand froze in midair. She retracted her hand, annoyed. How can that person take it? Carrie pointed at a table not far away. An Asian man's table had a few bottles of high-end drinks on it. He brought it himself. Also, he's the owner of this place. Jia Liwen pursed her lips and was speechless. She took the other food and rolled her eyes. Then she walked to the table with the food. Looking at the Asian man, she asked, "There's no one else here, right?" Chen Zhao looked up at Carrie. "Yes, I'm meeting a friend." Chen Zhao had bought this buffet restaurant not long ago. Chinese people had different tastes for houses and food. Home was a place to shelter from the wind and rain, while food was something to feel happy. The buffet restaurant had good business and was located in a good location. However, the original owner had only transferred the restaurant because he was short on funds. The profit of the buffet restaurant wasn't high. At least it was worlds apart from Marina's restaurant. In fact, the monthly profit of the buffet restaurant was only 1 day's profit of Marina's restaurant. The net profit wasn't even 1% of Marina's restaurants. However, The restaurant's advantage was its stability. Chen Zhao also bought the restaurant's storefront. Chen Zhao would occasionally come to eat. Of course, Chen Zhao had come alone. Right now, Chen Zhao's mouth was full. Even the beauty before him didn't make him stop chewing. You're just going to let a girl stand there with so much food? There's an empty seat. Chen Zhao answered straightforwardly. Carrie took a deep breath and calmed her anger at this unromantic man in front of her. Still calm, she said, Sir, I think you'll have trouble soon. Chen Zhao looked up again. What kind of trouble? Do you believe in souls? Carrie asked. Yes. Chen Zhao nodded. I saw something behind you, something bad. Oh? What kind? In the most popular words, it's the opposite of God, the crazy and fallen dead. Carrie pretended to look at him vaguely. You've provoked something you shouldn't. Soon, you'll lose everything because of it. Can you solve my problem? Chen Zhao asked. She put down the food in her hands and sat down opposite Chen Zhao. That's why I came. Oh, then how do you plan to solve it? Before that, shouldn't we eat first and then discuss the cost? How much are you going to charge? I need a long-term free card for this restaurant, Carrie said. Of course, there's an extra $3,000. Trust me, you'll feel that it's worth it. Chen Zhao shook his head and glanced at Carrie's food. Your price is too high. With your appetite, if you eat here every day, my restaurant will go bankrupt. Huh. Carrie looked at Carrie. Jia Liwen did not expect the Asian in front of her to reject her for such a small fee. Woo woo! Come out and show him how terrifying you are. How should I demonstrate? Flip him over and pin him to the ground. I don't want to do evil. I'm a divine beast. If we can get a long-term meal card, then you can eat big meals every day. Okay, just this once. Chen Zhao suddenly frowned. He could feel something beside Carrie. He could not see it, and its aura was not very strong. However, it could avoid his eyes and ears. Just then, Chen Zhao felt the thing attack him. Puff! Chen Zhao did not move. He pressed the thing to the ground with his small world. Carrie, hurry up and take me back. Hurry up. What happened? Jia Liwen looked at Wu Wu on the ground, dumbfounded. This man is a monster. He's a monster. Run, run. Wu Wu screamed. The terrifying power suppressed him so much that he could not even lift his head. Jia Liwen's expression changed. She looked at Chen Zhao with fear and stood up to leave. But in the next instant, she was also frozen in place just like Yu Wu. Sir, I was actually joking with you. Do you believe me? Chen Zhao lowered his head and wolfed down the food, not answering Jia Liwen's question. Jia Liwen was frozen to the ground. Like Wu Wu, she was completely suppressed by Chen Zhao's small world. Both Wu Wu and Jia Liwen felt that they were in big trouble. They had offended someone they shouldn't have. Jia Liwen just stood there for a few minutes. The waiter came over. Miss, do you need help? Nothing. Her lumbar disc isn't good and she needs to stand for a while. Go do your thing. Yes, sir. Jia Liwen wanted to speak, but her mouth was sealed. After Chen Zhao finished eating, he brought Jia Liwen out of the restaurant and into a small alley. Chen Zhao released Jia Liwen's restraint, but Wu Wu's restraint was still there. Jia Liwen turned and wanted to run, but the next moment she hit a wall. There was clearly nothing behind her, but she still hit the air wall. She was so dizzy that she could not stand up. Chen Zhao reached out and picked up Wu Wu. Although he could not see, the small world could still clearly feel Wu Wu's existence. So it did not really matter to Chen Zhao. Moreover, the feedback from the small world was more comprehensive and clear than what he could see with the naked eye. Wu Wu saw that his restraint was gone, but Chen Zhao was still using his hand to grab him. He immediately retaliated and slapped at Chen Zhao with his claws. But the next moment he regretted it. He felt that he wasn't slapping a body of flesh and blood, but a steel mountain. His claws were immediately fractured. Was this person an enhancer? He had also trained his body to the extreme. He was like the unbreakable Vajra of Buddhism, with skin like iron, bones like copper, impervious to water and fire, and unbreakable by all techniques. Wu Wu was in complete despair. If he was still in his best state, he would not be afraid. But now he was in his weakest state. Plus, he had a newbie, Jia Liwen. How could he beat Qin Zhao? Wu Wu was filled with resentment toward Jia Liwen. You can lie, but at least you have a target. You found such a strong cultivator. Who are you looking down on? What is this? Qin Zhao used his hand to feel Wu Wu's fur. It was quite big, more than twice the size of a lion. However, its strength and weight were quite exaggerated. It was probably the weight and strength of an elephant. By now, Carrie was a little more clear-headed. Seeing Qin Zhao grab Hanwu like a kitten, she was speechless. Chapter 2932. Although Ma Yingguo kept saying that he was in a weak state, however, Jia Liwen had personally witnessed Yuan Wu shatter an evil spirit with a single slap. A mouthful of phlegm blew up a villa. As for the weakness he mentioned, Jia Liwen didn't know. If this was considered weakness, then what did it mean when he wasn't weak? But right now, Qin Zhao was holding the weak Hanwu by the back of its neck like a kitten. What's this? Qin Zhao realized that he couldn't see it at all. He could only sense its existence. Suddenly, Qin Zhao felt that the thing in his hand was rapidly weakening. On the contrary, Carrie was growing stronger at an astonishing rate. Run! Jiu Wu roared. He transferred all his mana to Carrie. As long as Carrie could escape, he would be able to return to her body. Carrie instantly felt an unprecedented power. This kind of extremely powerful magic power gave her an illusion. Carrie didn't run away immediately. Instead, she turned to look at Qin Zhao. Qin Zhao seemed to understand something. Carrie took a deep breath and shouted, "Explosion!" This spell was taught to her by Yu Wu. However, with Carrie's original strength, she could at most send an ordinary evil spirit flying. But now, she felt that she could blow up the entire street. Of course, an illusion was an illusion. Carrie's sudden outburst shattered the glass windows of the surrounding shops. The ground cracked, and a terrifying force rushed towards Qin Zhao. Bang! Before the force could even touch Qin Zhao, it was disintegrated by Qin Zhao's non-elemental constitution. The entire alley was in a mess. Carrie panted as she knelt on the ground. She raised her head, but she did not see what she had hoped to see. Qin Zhao was still standing before her, unharmed. Is it over? Qin Zhao looked at Carrie teasingly. Hua Wu's eyes lit up. He said to Jia Liwen, "The power you displayed just now was beyond my expectations. You have the potential to become a strong person, but you are still too unfamiliar with my magic power. If you had concentrated your power to attack one point, you might have been able to defeat this man. But I don't have the strength to make another move. I feel like all my strength has been drained in an instant. This is normal. You don't know how to control your power. What you need to do now is to make sure that this man doesn't kill you. Only then will you be qualified to talk about the future," said Wu. Carrie looked at Qin Zhao. "Sir, would you believe me if I said I was joking?" Smiling, Qin Zhao shook his head. "No. All right then. I apologize for what happened just now. Since you're not injured, let's part ways here, okay?" Qin Zhao shook his head. "Maybe you should go to my cafeteria. Your attack just now caused great damage to my cafeteria. Give me $200,000 to make up for my losses, and I'll let you go." $200,000? This is robbery. I don't have it. Even if you sell me, I don't have it. Then go wash the dishes for me, Qin Zhao said matter-of-factly. Or I'll kill you. Choose. Jia Liwen wanted to be tough, but Yuan Wu said, "Don't provoke him now. It won't do you any good. What you need now is time. You need to surpass his time. Pretend to agree to him first. When you have enough strength to say no to him, you can openly refuse any of his requests." Carrie thought about it and realized that it made sense. Not to mention whether Chen Zhao would kill her. Even if he beat her up, she wouldn't feel good. It's just washing the dishes. I'll do it. When Chen Zhao brought Carrie to the cafeteria, she couldn't help but click her tongue when she saw the unrecognizable restaurant. It seemed that Chen Zhao's request for $200,000 wasn't unreasonable. The damage she'd caused was really great. In fact, this was just one restaurant. The windows of the dozens of shops on the street had all shattered. If Carrie had to pay for all this, she would probably have to sell her body for the rest of her life. Chen Zhao found the manager and arranged for Carrie to work as a waitress in the cafeteria. The manager was an understanding person and immediately agreed to let Carrie join the staff. Chen Zhao was interested in Carrie because her magic was rather unfamiliar. Also, what was that thing that he couldn't see? It shouldn't be a person or a soul. It was more like some kind of creature. However, Chen Zhao didn't know what kind of creature it existed in. Don't even think about escaping. Before you have enough strength, it is impossible for you to escape from his hands. He must have left some kind of mark on your body. Even if you are hiding underground, he will still find you. Jiu Wu reminded. Carrie was helpless. She couldn't beat him or run. What else could she do? Chen Zhao didn't stay in the cafeteria for long. After making arrangements for Carrie, he left. Because of the unknown explosion, the cafeteria couldn't operate normally. The employees were cleaning up the shop. Carrie was no exception. At the other end of the same street, a black man appeared. I smell Hu Wu's scent and that woman's scent. The entire street is filled with that annoying magic. They seem to have fought with something here. Hei Yu's voice lingered in the black man's ears. A fierce glint appeared in the black man's eyes. Should we devour them like before? No rush. Devour the other beasts first, Hei Yu said. Hei Yu said, but before that we must first find Ji Wu and the woman that coexists with him. We must grasp their every move. The black man licked his lips. What a pity. The black man was called Ajura. He was a fugitive. He was a vicious thug, a murderer. Hei Yu had found Ajura because of his cruelty and bloodthirst. Of course, maybe they were attracted to each other. Ajura displayed Hei Yu's evil to the fullest. Hei Yu's power also increased by leaps and bounds because of Ajura. One was a natural criminal. The other was a group of evil. The human and beast were the perfect combination. Hei Yu didn't need to tempt Ajura because he was evil. Hei Yu lent him power, and he was happy to cooperate. In just a few days, they devoured more than a dozen beasts. Most of the beasts were attached to other people. Hei Yu devoured the beasts, and he was violent to those attached. Chapter 29:33. Bang! Hey, you're in the way. Ajura turned his head and saw a sports car behind him. It was honking crazily. A hint of madness appeared on Ajura's face. He smashed the car's hood hard. In an instant, the hood of the supercar was lifted. Chen Zhao saw that his beloved car had been smashed. Enraged, he got out of the car. Bastard, how do you want to die? Chen Zhao roared, pointing at Ajura's nose. Ajura pushed Chen Zhao's chest with both hands. Chen Zhao took 2 steps back, surprised. The guy was stronger than he'd imagined. No, much stronger than he'd imagined. Ajura was surprised too. He'd wanted to push Chen Zhao away just now. He didn't expect Chen Zhao to only take 2 steps back. Such vigorous chi. Kill him. I want his flesh and blood. Hei Yu's voice rang in Ajura's ears. Receiving Hei Yu's order, Ajura smiled cruelly. Suddenly, Ajura turned and ran. Chen Zhao looked at the sprinting Ajura. He got into his sports car and followed. Ajura didn't run into an alley. Instead, he ran toward the suburbs. Chen Zhao narrowed his eyes. The guy's intention was too obvious. He was clearly luring Chen Zhao to chase. Fine, if that's what he wants. Then Chen Zhao would do as he wished. Suddenly, Ajura stopped. It seemed that he thought this place was secluded enough. A malicious smile appeared on Ajura's face. But the next moment, the sports car crashed into him. What? Ajura didn't expect the guy to be so reckless. It was too late to dodge. The sports car was too fast. He couldn't react at all. Bang! Ajura was sent flying. Chun Zhao got out and looked at the front of his car. Looks like I'll have to spend tens of thousands of dollars on repairs. Ajura climbed up in a sorry state, but he wasn't injured. However, his gaze toward Chun Zhao was more ferocious. Yellow monkey, I'm going to break your limbs. With that, Ajura charged at Chun Zhao. But in the next moment, he suddenly saw a fist that was continuously expanding. Bang! Ajura was flipped over by the fist. His nose was crooked and his teeth were knocked out. Chun Zhao shook off the filthy blood sacrifice and looked down at Aurora on the ground. She lifted her foot and stomped on Ajura. Ajura rolled and avoided Chun Zhao's foot. Hey you, lend me your strength. Hey you? Was it some new cult or malevolent god that appeared recently? In the next moment, Ajura's upper body suddenly swelled up like a balloon. I will make you wish you were dead. Ajura smiled cruelly, but before he could act arrogantly, he was knocked to the ground by another punch. Not enough. I want more power. As you wish. Hey, you didn't care about this bit of power. It was just 1% of what he had. Chun Zhao felt that the man might really be an evil god worshipper. Otherwise, she wouldn't have felt any magic power from his body. However, he had clearly defied all common sense and greatly strengthened himself. Not only did the teeth that Chun Zhao had broken grow back, but they were also 2 rows of fangs. Ajura charged at Chun Zhao again. This time he opened his mouth. It was as if Chun Zhao dared to punch, he would bite with his mouth. Chun Zhao was almost amused by him. Another punch, and Ajura was sent flying again. He also helped Ajura with oral surgery. This time, Ajura looked even more wretched. Not enough, not enough. You can't take more of my power, but I can help you kill him. Then help me kill this guy. After it's done, I want you to give me 10 living people. Deal. Hey, you crawled out of Ajura's body. Instantly, Chun Zhao's eyes opened. This thing again. He couldn't see it, but he could still feel Hey Yu's existence. However, the invisible thing before him was completely different from the one beside Carrie. He couldn't see the one beside Carrie either, but it didn't have any evil aura. If Carrie and Yuanwu had any, Chun Zhao wouldn't let them disappear before him alive. But the thing before him gave off an uncomfortable aura. However, the thing in front of him was emitting an aura that made him feel uncomfortable. Even though it was invisible, it was filled with evil. The aura was even stronger, dozens of times stronger. There was also that disgusting smell. Even if he couldn't see it, he could smell it. Hey Yu strolled to Chun Zhao. He clearly thought that Chun Zhao couldn't see him, but the next moment, Chun Zhao taught him a lesson with his fists. Move your stinky mouth away. Chun Zhao punched Hey Yu's mouth open. Hey Yu was dumbfounded. Chun Zhao grabbed Hey Yu's chin with one hand and pressed him to the ground. Bang, bang, bang. Hey Yu couldn't resist at all. His body was several times larger than Yuanwu's. But before Chun Zhao, he was no different. Chun Zhao's fists got heavier and heavier. Hey Yu's head was a bloody mess. Hey Yu finally reacted and spat out black flames at Chun Zhao. The black flames enveloped Chun Zhao. He thought that Chun Zhao would still be alive. But Chun Zhao wasn't dead. The black flames wrapped around Chun Zhao, but didn't even burn his clothes. I didn't expect your mouth to be so smelly, but your flames taste so good. Chun Zhao didn't continue hitting Hey Yu. Instead, he grabbed his mouth. Spit again. Hey Yu was dumbfounded. Who was this person? Why wasn't he afraid of his black flames? Chun Zhao slapped him again. I told you to spit fire. Don't you understand? Whoosh. Hey Yu didn't believe it and spat again. He definitely wasn't cooperating with Chun Zhao. Slap. Did you not drink milk? Harder. Whoosh. Not enough. Again. Not enough again. Hey Yu was about to cry. He'd never been bullied like this before. Ojura could tell that the situation wasn't right. He turned to escape. He knew how terrifying Heiyu was. But now, Heiyu was being beaten by this man. It was an inhumane humiliation. But the next moment, his body was dragged back uncontrollably. Where do you think you're going without my permission? Sir, misunderstanding. This is a misunderstanding. Crack. Qin Zhao crushed Ojura's left arm. Ah, it's not a misunderstanding. I can differentiate between misunderstanding and malice. I'm going to find the police. I'm going to find the police. You, thug. Hey, you found a chance and bit down hard on Qin Zhao's body. Ojura's eyes brightened. Got it. Chapter 2934. Both Ojura and Heiyu thought they had it, but the next moment, Heiyu felt a terrifying power. Then he directly removed his chin. Instantly, blood gushed out of Heiyu's mouth. Qin Zhao felt that Heiyu's stomach seemed to be calling out to him. Qin Zhao reached out and pulled out an invisible object that wasn't too big or too small. Just then, Qin Zhao heard a voice from the ball of light. Don't kill me. Don't kill me. The thing in Qin Zhao's hand was alive. It wasn't dead, but, like Huawu and Heiyu, it couldn't be seen with the naked eye. But its aura was different from Huawu and Heiyu. Yu Wu was more inclined towards righteousness, while Heiyu was completely evil. But now, Qin Zhao was holding it in his hands. It was a different feeling. He was neither righteous nor evil, impartial and seemingly neutral. Qin Zhao kicked the drooping Heiyu away and held the thing in his hand. What's your name? Baizhu. What's that? I'm the demon beast Baizhu. I've seen demons before, but you say you're a demon beast. Why can't I sense your existence? I am not a materialized demonic beast. I was born from the heavens and earth. We exist in the heavens and earth, but we do not exist in form. We all have formless appearances. Only those of the same species or those who possess our powers can see us. Lend me your power, Qin Zhao said. Judging from Carrie and Ojura's expressions, they'd probably accepted their respective demon beasts' powers. That was why they could see Huawu and Heiyu. Baizhu transferred his magic power to Qin Zhao. The moment Qin Zhao accepted Baizhu's power, a connection was formed between the two. In that instant, Baizhu felt Qin Zhao's mighty power, which was like heaven and earth. Although it was only for a moment, Baizhu understood that the human in front of her was absolutely a terrifying existence. Perhaps only the ancient immortals could compare to him. Also at that moment, Qin Zhao saw Heiyu. Qin Zhao's previous impression of Heiyu was like a blind man trying to feel an elephant. Perception was perception, but it was difficult to use perception to completely describe Heiyu's form. But now he could clearly see Heiyu's form. He'd long known about its enormous form. It was even larger than an African elephant. It had a black mane and was surrounded by a black aura. However, his chin had been pulled off by Qin Zhao. He was lying on the ground, barely breathing. What's your relationship with him? Why are you in his stomach? Qin Zhao asked curiously. I was eaten by him. Baizhu said helplessly. Then why aren't you dead? I was born from the heavens and earth. So how could I possibly die completely? At most, I would be completely fused with him, and my true spirit would return to the heavens and earth. However, my current state can probably be described as not being completely digested. Where did you come from? How come I've never seen you before? Listening to Baizhu's words, they should not be the product of some evil cult. We are the true spirits gathered by the 100 Beast Steel. The 100 Beast Steel seem to have been unsealed for some reason, and we have been released from the 100 Beast Steel. 100 Beast Steel? Are you saying that there are 100 people like you? Actually, there are thousands of them, Baizhu said. What about him? What rank is he in the 100 Beast Steel? The fiercest one is him, Baizhu said. He is Heiyu, born from the same spirit as Yu Wu. If we were born from the heavens and earth and then formed by the 100-beast steel, then Heiyu and Yuwu were born from the 100-beast steel using our true spirit chi, so they were born as divine beasts or kings of beasts. Yuwu was responsible for guarding the 100-beast steel, while Heiyu was responsible for devouring the unclean aura we carried. But after leaving the 100-beast steel's control, Heiyu changed. He found us and started to devour us and our hosts. Every time he devoured a beast, his power increased. Bai Zhu glanced at the dying Heiyu. In his eyes, the powerful Heiyu was now like a dead dog. Chun Zhao walked forward and looked at Heiyu on the ground. Murderous intent appeared in his eyes. Leaving this thing alive would also be a disaster. Fellow Taoist, please wait a moment. Suddenly, a voice sounded in Chen Zhao's ear. Chen Zhao turned his head and saw that the newcomers were actually 2 Taoist nuns. Chen Zhao even recognized one of them. It was Qing Ping. Why are you here? Chen Zhao frowned at Qing Ping. Ling Yan looked at Chen Zhao in confusion. Chen Zhao had once gone to Mao Mountain and caused a ruckus. However, Ling Yan had not been on the mountain at that time. Moreover, the people of Mao Mountain were very afraid of this matter and were all unwilling to mention it. Thus, Ling Yan did not know Chen Zhao. He only felt that Chen Zhao's attitude toward Qing Ping was rather rude. That's me. Qing Ping looked at Chen Zhao with a complicated gaze. What? Did this thing escape from your Mao Mountain? No need to thank me. I brought him here. Oh, can I assume that you're the one who allowed the demon to commit murder? If you really want to think so, of course. Qing Ping did not deny it. Looks like you want to fight me today, Taoist. Fellow Taoist, please calm down. You should be thanking me. You know that I'm protecting this area. You're causing trouble here. Why should I thank you? Speaking of which, you have a deep relationship with Mao Mountain. I'm here today to invite you to follow me back to the sect to take charge of Mao Mountain. Ling Yan's eyes widened as he stared at Qing Ping in disbelief. He then looked at Chen Zhao, who was also in disbelief. Are you mistaken? I'm Mao Mountain's mortal enemy. You want me to take charge of Mao Mountain? Are you okay with that? You're a descendant of the Qingyi sect, which originated from the Mai sect. The Mai sect is one of the 3 sects of Mao Mountain, so the conflict last time was at most an internal conflict. You can't be considered a mortal enemy of Mao Mountain. I'm not interested in being a Taoist or leading Mao Mountain. I'll forget about this. You can leave. Why did you refuse? Mao Mountain is also a 1,000-year-old holy land of Taoism. Our predecessors have painstakingly passed down our heritage and countless resources. They can bring you unimaginable benefits on your path of cultivation. My cultivation is unparalleled in the world now. Only a few can compare to me. Do I need Mao Mountain's resources? Besides, I have money and power in this dazzling world. Why should I endure the lonely and bitter cultivation of the green lamp? You don't need the lamp to accompany you. You don't need to be lonely in the mountains. You're still you. I don't need you to do anything. Then what do you want? The girl you met earlier. She's my chosen successor. I'll take her as my disciple. You're crazy. Chen Zhao refused without thinking. Chapter 2935. Friend, do you believe in fate? Don't tell me that she's my destined disciple. Chen Zhao believed in fate. Plus, he'd never thought that he'd have to change his fate one day. Chen Zhao felt that going against fate meant going against the pressure from the surroundings or environment. He didn't have to say that everything fate did to him was wrong. As for if someone told him that he was destined to have a disciple, Chen Zhao didn't believe it. Or rather, he wouldn't accept it. Just because you said I have one? Based on what? Not long ago, I sensed a heavenly secret and found someone to do a divination. The divination was, grievances are cleared, the gray cauldron stands. The sun and moon are both present, and the Kanglin Hall is filled with nobility. Chen Zhao didn't understand divination. What does that mean? The grudge is between you and Zhongding, as well as the grudge between the Black Robe sect and the Mai sect. It's hard to say who's right and who's wrong. There are hundreds of years of grudges, but in your generation, there won't be any more disputes. The gray in the cauldron refers to the Mai sect. The E in your name corresponds to the sun and moon. The E in Jin Gui refers to the Taoist lord of Mao Shan's Taishang noble robe. The Kanglin refers to the Kanglin hall where Mao Shan worships their ancestors. Qin Zhao pursed his lips. You can make up a random hexagram. Who knows if it's real or not? This was just like how in ancient times, before a rebellion, one would first create a phenomenon to show that one's rebellion was reasonable and convincing. For example, a one-eyed stone man stirring up the Yellow River and the world to rebel. Chen Zhao felt that Qing Pingjinren was like that. Whether it was real or not, Chen Zhao didn't believe it. Just a moment ago, I crippled your sect leader. The next moment, you want me to be your sect leader. No one would believe such a thing. Brother Qin, I don't have to make you believe it, but your connection to Mao Mountain can't be erased. Secondly, that woman happened to have the 100 beast steel, which is the Mai sect's treasure. She's also recognized by the steel, so she's destined to be the Mai sect's heir. You're her guardian. Then if I kill her now, will your prophecy be broken? Qing Ping looked at him calmly. Not only is she related to you, but she's also related to Li Qing. What kind of relationship? Could they be mother and daughter? How is that possible? They're not mother and daughter. They're grandmother and grandson, Taoist Master Qing Ping said. Cough, cough. Qin Zhao almost choked. How is that possible? Sister Qing is only in her early 40s. Jilly should be in her 20s, right? Li Qing is 62 this year. Qin Zhao's eyes almost popped out. How is that possible? She's 62? Li Qingzhao had sent her son abroad to study, and her son, Li Guowei, had a relationship abroad. Later, this relationship ended. At that time, he didn't know that his girlfriend was already pregnant. After Li Guowei finished his studies and returned home, he married a junior sister from the same sect. However, because he had the experience of studying abroad, his family chose to go abroad to seek refuge. Immortal Qing Ping said, Jialuan is Big Sister Qing's granddaughter, and Big Sister Qing is your granddaughter. What does that make you? Great-grandson, Taoist Master Qing Ping said. Who knows if it's true or not? Chen Zhao pursed his lips. Actually, he already believed half of it. Technology is so advanced now. It's easy to verify if it's true or not. I'll get to the bottom of this. You better not lie to me, Qin Zhao said. But that's a different matter. What reason do you have to stop me from killing this evil beast? He did evil in my territory. I have no reason to let him go. Don't bring up the relationship with me. I have a relationship with Big Sister Qing. But that doesn't mean I have a relationship with you. Back then, Li Qing's family had gone abroad to avoid disaster. As Li Qing's grandmother, Taoist Master Qing Ping was also the great elder of Mao Mountain. Her status was even higher than the sect leaders. However, she didn't help in time. So Li Qing and Taoist Master Qing Ping probably didn't have a good relationship. Thus, Chen Zhao wouldn't change his original intentions for Taoist Master Qing Ping. Jia Liwen fused with the 100 beast steel. The steel's spiritual beasts are Heiyu and Biwu. If you kill Heiyu, it's the same as killing Biwu. If Biwu dies, the 100 beast steel is destroyed. If the 100 beast steel is destroyed, Jia Liwen will die too. Chen Zhao was furious. He went up and punched Heiyu. Heiyu held in pain. Venerable One, save me! Taoist Master Qing Ping glared at Heiyu. Evil creature. He'll stay by my side for now, Qin Zhao said. Then it's fine to kill him, right? He deserves to die, Taoist Master Qing Ping said coolly, glancing at Ajura. Chen Zhao looked at Ajura and flicked his finger. Ajura's body suddenly bounced up. Then he was squeezed and compressed in a terrifying way. He only had time to let out a blood-curdling scream before he was squeezed into a ball. Seeing Ajura's tragic state, Lingyun couldn't help but tremble. This was definitely a horrible death that surpassed her imagination. The huge Ajura had been compressed into a ball of blood, less than 3 centimeters. Qin Zhao waved his finger, and the blood ball shot into the air. Lingyun only felt that the person before her was unbelievably terrifying. No wonder her grand uncle master had invited him to be the Mao Mountain sect leader. Taoist Master Qingping's eyes flashed. Fellow Taoist Qin, you've improved a lot since last time. Taoist Master Qingping could also kill someone like that. In fact, it was the same technique and the same ease. But when Chen Zhao attacked, there was an indescribable force field. You've broken through to Shangqing State? Suddenly, Taoist Master Qingping's expression changed. Chen Zhao's aura was too special. It was completely different from last time. It was as grand and magnificent as the world. She definitely couldn't imitate such an aura. I'm at Ascension State now, Qin Zhao said, or rather half a step to it. In an instant, Taoist Master Qingping recalled the strange phenomenon that day. Then he found Lingyun for a divination. His thoughts were clear now, and he understood the cause and effect. Fellow Taoist Qin, with your current cultivation, you're worthy of being number 1 in the world. What's so good about being number 1 in the world? Before I broke through, I was also number 1 in the world. Lingyun didn't know what Shangqing State was, but she couldn't believe it when she heard Taoist Master Qingping say that he was number 1 in the world. The man in front of her was only a few years older than her. How could he bear the title of number 1 in the world? Moreover, there was also the supreme celestial master of the celestial master sect of Longhu Mountain, with him around, who would dare to say that they were number 1 in the world. Therefore, to Lingyun, Taoist Master Qingping's words were too exaggerated. Chen Zhao's words were even more arrogant. He was number 1 in the world before breaking through? She didn't know who gave him the courage to respond to Taoist Master Qingping like that. Taoist Master Qingping smiled bitterly. The number 1 in the world she was talking about was different from the number 1 in the world Chen Zhao was talking about. She was talking about Chen Zhao's current cultivation, while Chen Zhao was talking about his combat ability. Chapter 2936. When Chen Zhao left, he estimated in his heart. Spiritual Master Qingping's cultivation was clearly much lower than Zhang Tiany's. He was probably about the same as Blood Mary 23 in the past. However, Blood Mary had become a god now. She couldn't be measured by their standards. She should be much stronger than Bifla. Chun Zhao, Zhang Tiany, Blood Mary 23, and Bifla formed a small group. Chen Zhao's cultivation and power were undoubtedly the highest. Zhang Tiany was second, but even Chen Zhao didn't dare to say that he could definitely win against Zhang Tiany. Zhang Tiany had too many tricks and was too unfathomable. If Chen Zhao faced Zhang Tiany head-on, he was confident that even if there were 10 Zhang Tiany, he could still beat Zhang Tiany like a kid. But if it was a real battle, no one would face Chen Zhao head-on, especially since Zhang Tiany knew Chen Zhao very well. Bifla's cultivation was the lowest. He'd only been in the Shangqing realm for less than half a year, but he was also the most special. He'd lived for 470 years. He was so knowledgeable that the other 3, combined, probably couldn't compare to him. In the spiritual world, knowledge often represented power. It could be transformed into power. So, no matter how low his cultivation was, he still had power that couldn't be ignored. Spiritual Master Qingping, and the 4 of them were probably still lacking. Do you want to come in yourself, or do you want me to force you in? Chen Zhao took out an empty bottle. It was a normal empty bottle. White Candle was obedient, or rather timid. A wave of white smoke flowed into the empty bottle. Chen Zhao glanced at Heiyu. Looks like you're not going to cooperate. Sir, don't rush. It's not that I don't want to go in. I'm afraid that the bottle can't hold my body. I can turn into nothingness. But I'm not bad. I'm afraid. Heiyu had been beaten up by Chun Zhao, but he still couldn't help but brag. Heiyu looked rather wretched, but he still looked sinister and cunning. Sir, since no one can see me, why don't you let me follow you in the outside world and help you do some things? Of course. Heiyu didn't really want to help him. He just wanted to find a chance to escape. That's good. I've eaten many mutants. Today, I'll try what a divine beast's twin brother tastes like. Tell me. Chun Zhao studied Heiyu. I'll eat one of your legs today. Heiyu trembled in fright and turned into black smoke, charging into the bottle. The black and white smoke in the bottle intertwined for a while, and finally the white smoke was squeezed into a corner. If you dare swallow white candle again, I'll beat you until your stomach bleeds. As expected, the black gas in the bottle became obedient at Chun Zhao's words. He had yet to recover from being beaten up by Chun Zhao, and now Chun Zhao had forcefully spat out white candle, making him incomparably weak. He didn't dare to imagine if he would be beaten to death by Chun Zhao again. Anyway, his impression of Chun Zhao was that he was an extremely evil person. If you dare to break the bottle, I'll fry you tonight. When Chun Zhao arrived at Ethan's motel, he found Dell dozing off at the counter. Chun Zhao's expression was strange. Dell was a billionaire. Why was he a shopkeeper here? Bang, bang, robbery. Ah, where did this bastard come from? Dell jumped up in fright, but when he looked closer, he realized that it was Chun Zhao. Chun, why are you here? Where's Ethan and your master? They're traveling to Hawaii, Dell complained. You know, that old asterisk shoal actually asked me to look after his motel. I'm a billionaire. I'm rich. I can buy this crappy motel with my 1 week's income. So, if my master didn't ask, I definitely wouldn't have agreed. Dell was bored out of his mind. He respected Li Qing a lot. He also knew that his master seemed to be in a relationship with Ethan. But what could he do? Kill Ethan? Chin, you came just in time. I've just learned a spell. Come and practice with me. Forget it. Just look at your motel. Chun Zhao rolled his eyes. He wasn't interested in sparring with Dell. It was too difficult. Dell was the weakest out of all the spiritualists Chun Zhao knew. There was no one else like him. How bad was his talent? It would take him a month to barely master the most basic spell. Don't take this. Dell was a true warrior. Seeing that Chun Zhao wasn't cooperating, he attacked Chun Zhao directly. Chun Zhao didn't even bother to fight back. This sneak attack was so crude. Dell's arms suddenly turned into 4. Chun Zhao smiled. He knew this spell too. Dell swung his 4 arms at Chun Zhao at the same time. Chun Zhao took a few steps back, avoiding Dell's attack. Watch. I'm fighting back. Chun Zhao spread his arms and revealed 3 pairs of arms. Hey, I have 1 more pair than you. Skipping the process, it was a meaningless battle. Other than Dell, Chun Zhao was the one who was having fun. Are you looking for Master? Nothing. I just came to see Ethan and Auntie Lee. It's fine if they're not here. Let's eat together tonight. My treat. Okay. Chun Zhao hadn't gathered with Dell in a long time, so he didn't reject his invitation. I'll go make a call. Walking to a corner, Chun Zhao took out his phone and called Li Qing. Hey, Auntie Lee, are you going to Hawaii with Ethan? Yeah. Did Dell tell you? Yeah, I came to find you, but you weren't here. What's up? Chun Zhao was silent for a while. Auntie Lee, other than the one from Mao Mountain, do you have any other blood relatives? Does the nephew you crippled count? Did something happen to him again? If it's him, don't worry about me. We don't have any relationship. No, I met that elder of yours today. She told me something. You might have a granddaughter. What? What are you talking about? The waves were too big. I didn't hear you clearly. You might have a granddaughter. What are you talking about? Li Qing's tone had changed. I'm going to your room to find a hair or something. Chen Zhao said, "The girl that your senior mentioned is in my hands now. I'm going to use your hair to test your blood relationship with her." All right. Go now." Li Qing's face was filled with impatience. After all, to a loner like her, there was nothing more exciting than knowing that she had someone who was so close to her by blood. "I'll come back now. Don't rush. I'll let you know as soon as I hear anything." "No, I believe she wouldn't lie to me," Li Qing said. "I want to see my granddaughter as soon as possible." Chapter 2937. I know a good restaurant. Let's go eat there tonight. "Is that restaurant yours?" Chen Zhao asked. "No, the building it's in is mine." Unlike Chen Zhao, who liked to buy restaurants, Dell liked to buy buildings. "Let's go to my cafeteria first," Chen Zhao said. "Why are we going there?" "Something." "Okay." Dell drove to Chen Zhao's cafeteria. When the car stopped outside the cafeteria, Chen Zhao made a call. "Carrie, come out for a while." "I'm outside." A while later, Carrie came out. From her movements, it was obvious that she was on guard against Chen Zhao. Chen Zhao rolled down the window and looked at Carrie. "Come here." Carrie stood before the car, still in that cautious and guarded posture. "Come closer, can't you?" "Go ahead," Carrie said, dissatisfied. "I can hear you." Chen Zhao's expression darkened. He grabbed Carrie's neck and pressed her down. "Oh, it hurts." Carrie felt like her neck was about to break. The next moment, Chen Zhao pulled out a strand of Carrie's hair and pushed her away. Dell was shocked. "Chin, what are you doing?" "Driving." Carrie looked in the direction of the car and started cursing. Chen Zhao ignored Carrie's cursing. "What about now? Where are we going?" "Hospital," Chen Zhao said. "Hospital? Are you sick?" "Wait, you're a doctor, right?" Chen Zhao shook the hair in the bottle. "Paternity test. That woman is your daughter?" "No. Even if she's related to you, she's only your sister?" "She's not related to me," Chen Zhao said calmly. "Then who is she related to?" "You'll know in the future." Before everything came to an end, Chen Zhao didn't want to tell anyone other than Li Qing about this. Okay, Dell didn't ask further, but from Chen Zhao's words, the woman might be related to someone he knew. After arriving at the hospital, Chen Zhao asked for help. It was an urgent paternity test. Originally, it would take at least 3 days. Under Chen Zhao's request, the center promised that they would give a result within 24 hours at most. Chen Zhao was an impatient person and hoped to get information as soon as possible. However, the DNA test couldn't come out immediately as Chen Zhao had hoped. After all, paternity tests required manual data analysis and comparison. Chen Zhao looked at the night view outside the window. The restaurant was on the rooftop of the building. There was only a roof for shelter. However, this also added to the restaurant style. Out of habit, Chen Zhao estimated the price of this restaurant. Putting aside the restaurant's brand, the restaurant's renovation, location, quality of employees, and other factors added together were estimated to be worth around $10 million. Don't think that every restaurant can be worth tens of millions of dollars. In fact, there were only about 10 restaurants in Los Angeles that were worth tens of millions of dollars. Of course, it wasn't like he had to buy every restaurant he saw. Even if Chen Zhao wanted to buy it, the owner might not necessarily sell it. Chen Zhao was confident that he was richer, but that didn't mean that he had more influence. Just then, he saw a familiar figure. No, it wasn't familiarity. To Chen Zhao, it was a deep impression. Bader, the god of light in Norse mythology. He was also the first person who could escape from Chen Zhao after using his full strength. Bader had his own girlfriend today. When he entered the restaurant with her, he also noticed Chen Zhao. The moment their eyes met, Bader's expression stiffened. It seemed that he was also very surprised to see Chen Zhao here. Bader whispered a few words to his female companion, who then walked over to the empty table. Bader walked toward Chen Zhao. "Hi, Mr. Chen." Chen Zhao looked at Bader. "Did you appear before me on purpose? Or is it a coincidence? Are you looking for me? A strange expression appeared on Bader's face. If you're looking for me, I suggest you kill everyone in your intelligence department. I actually don't feel anyone looking for me. Chen Zhao's face darkened. Fine, he didn't have an intelligence department at all. In fact, only Beifla's Flame Worship and 23rd Blood Mary Scarlet Church had a complete intelligence network. Because they thought that Bader wasn't in Los Angeles, he should be in another area. Thus, there were almost no intelligence agents in Los Angeles. This was the so-called darkest place under the light. In fact, Bader was right under their noses. Chin, is he your friend? Dell asked. Not really. Chen Zhao glanced at Bader. Mr. Bader, how about we arrange a time to meet? Slightly hesitant, Bader said. I need to think about it. I can guarantee your safety and freedom, Chen Zhao said. Give me your contact number. I'll get back to you after thinking about it. Bader wasn't worried that Chen Zhao would fight him here. Although they were all existences that surpassed the extreme, they all followed the rules. They definitely wouldn't fight in public like this. Fine. Chen Zhao gave Bader a name card with his private number. Glancing at Bader's girlfriend, who wasn't far away, he asked, Is she the same as you? No, my new girlfriend. Smiling, Bader shrugged. Okay, I need to go. Goodbye. After Bader returned to his girlfriend's side, Dell asked, Who's that? How should I put it? We're not friends or enemies. We fought before, but he couldn't beat me and I couldn't kill him. Then we both tacitly lost interest in fighting. What's the relationship? Okay, let's not talk about him. How's Faith? She learned a few spells from her master, Dell said helplessly. She's messed up the house. I plan to send her to kindergarten, but I'm worried that she'll be discovered using spells there. Faith was far more talented than Dell, but she was still too young. She was almost 4 years old now. This was also why Dell was conflicted. Why don't I introduce a kindergarten to you? I've invested in it. It's run by a couple. They're the same kind of people as us. My children are in the kindergarten too. Even if Faith uses spells in the kindergarten, the couple will cover it up for her. Really? That'd be best. Chen Zhao took out a name card and handed it to Dell. Dell finally smiled. It seemed that Faith's problem was troubling him too. You can contact them tomorrow. Also, go to the kindergarten to see the environment and talk to the couple. 9 Heavens, Divine Emperor. Chapter 2938. That night, Bader agreed to meet Qin Zhao, but it was only limited to Qin Zhao. No one else could come. Bader seemed to know. A few terrifying beings had been active in Los Angeles recently. Bader was probably panicking too. After all, even if he had an immortal body, it didn't mean he couldn't be defeated, or rather, he couldn't be sealed. The strongest aspect of the human race was their sealing abilities. Since ancient times, countless terrifying beings had tried to overturn the world. However, only a small number of those terrifying existences were killed. Most of them had been stuffed into the sewers. The few that could come out had lost 70 to 80% of their power. Bader had been in the human world for a long time. He knew that there had always been top beings that could fight against gods. He also knew that almost every top-notch expert had a few sealing spells in their hands. Therefore, from ancient times until now, the devil incarnate was either killed or sealed. There was rarely a precedent of a top human being killed. This was because the human race had mastered the almost shameless sealing technique. If they could win, they would fight. If they couldn't, they would act shamelessly. Actually, sealing spells weren't rare among the strong, but most of them used the strong to seal the weak or the same level. Humans, on the other hand, could use the weak to seal the strong. This was a headache for the powerful figures. Bader had agreed to meet Qin Zhao because he knew some of Chen Zhao's stories. He knew that Chen Zhao wasn't good at sealing spells. That was why he agreed. Of course, Bader and Chen Zhao weren't related, nor did they have any friendship. On the contrary, they had some small conflicts. They weren't big enemies, but they weren't friends either. There was a certain risk in meeting Chen Zhao. Thus, Chen Zhao guessed that Bader probably had his own requests. As for whether the encounter at the restaurant tonight was a coincidence or not, it didn't matter. As long as Bader had a request, it was fine. Then everything was fine. The next day, Chen Zhao arrived. It was the same restaurant as yesterday, but the restaurant hadn't opened yet. So, apart from the two of them, there were no other customers. Bader was very careful. First, he used his senses to confirm if there were any other people around. Once he sensed that there was an aura in the surroundings that made him feel uneasy, he would immediately flee. After confirming that everything was normal, Bader walked out with a smile. "Mr. Chen, I'm glad you can keep your appointment." Chen Zhao nodded and replied with a smile. "Sit down," he said. There was no host or guest here. After the two of them sat down, the waiter brought over a bottle of red wine and 2 goblets. "Are you familiar with the boss here?" "I'm the boss here," Bader said. "I've been out in the world for 100 years and have accumulated some wealth." Chen Zhao shrugged. He didn't mind. After all, even he had accumulated an extremely rich net worth in the past few years. Not to mention Bader, who had walked the human world for 100 years. If ordinary cultivators and spirit controllers were short of money, then it would be different. Then, at their level, basically, they would no longer be bound by money. Even if they were dead, there would be people willing to give them large amounts of money as offerings. He only hoped that when they were in trouble, he would pay some attention to them. Just like Zhang Tianyi, he had no money. But when he wanted money, he just had to say that he was short of money for online shopping. Then, a large wave of rich people would come up to him and lick his boots. "I came to find you because I have a request. You agreed to meet me because you have a request too, right?" Chen Zhao finally broached the main topic. "Not long ago, one of your friends became a god. Based on my understanding of the Olympian gods, they had a huge flaw when they built their divine kingdom. Your friend must have the same problem now. You're looking for me because of her, right?" Bader easily deduced why Chen Zhao was looking for him based on the information he knew. "You're looking for me because of her, right?" Chen Zhao nodded. There was nothing to deny. Since they were already on the negotiation table, there was no point in hiding anymore. However, Chen Zhao really didn't know much about Bader, so he didn't know Bader's purpose. "Then can you provide a perfect way to build a divine kingdom?" Chen Zhao asked. Bader shook his head. The Olympians' method of building a divine kingdom has a huge flaw, but it's not completely unfixable. The Aser race's method fixes the flaw, but it's much weaker than the Olympians. So, in terms of combat power, the Olympians are actually much stronger than us. Bader paused and looked at Chen Zhao. "You can ask your friend. If he's willing to accept our method of building a divine kingdom, then the deal is done." "Which is better?" "There's no comparison. Let's put it this way. The Olympians' divine kingdoms have unparalleled combat power, but they're extremely unstable. After a big battle, they might need to be repaired. To repair the damage, they need fragments of the divine kingdom. So, the Olympians are destined to have fewer and fewer gods. If a new god wants to become a real god, they need fragments of the divine kingdom. A big battle also needs fragments of the divine kingdom. Where can we get so many fragments? Of course, it's fragments of the same kind or from other gods. This is an endless cycle. They're not suitable for continuous divine wars, but they also need to keep fighting for fragments of the divine kingdom. The Aser race's divine kingdoms are relatively more stable. They won't need to be repaired after a big battle. But the price is a divine war of the same level. In a one-on-one situation, it's almost impossible for us to fight the Olympians. Another advantage is that we don't need to use fragments of other gods' divine kingdoms to build. As long as we know the method, any young god can build their own divine kingdom." Chen Zhao looked at Bader. "So what do you want? Ask your friend first and see if she accepts the deal. Then we'll continue." "How about you guys talk among yourselves?" Chen Zhao asked. Bader shook his head. He didn't want to interact with other top humans besides Qin Zhao. Qin Zhao was strong, but he wasn't proficient in sealing. The other top humans might be weaker than Qin Zhao, but they all knew at least one sealing technique. Bader's immortal body wasn't afraid of Qin Zhao. No matter how strong Qin Zhao was, he couldn't kill him. The other people's seals could ignore his immortal body. So, interacting with Qin Zhao made him feel more at ease. Chapter 2939. Qin Zhao saw Bader's determination. He didn't say anything else to express his sincerity. Instead, he picked up the phone and dialed 23rd Blood Mary's number. Blood Mary, I found the God of Light. He's willing to trade with us. But the Aesir God's method of building a divine kingdom isn't perfect. Can I see him for a moment? He doesn't want to see you. Qin Zhao glanced at Bader and then said, Well, you can talk like this? Bader nodded and took the phone. I'm Bader, Aesir God of Light. After a while, Bader ended the call with 23rd Blood Mary. The phone returned to Qin Zhao's hand. Qin Zhao continued talking to 23rd Blood Mary. You agree to the deal? You can decide the price, 23rd Blood Mary said. Ares, that sly old bastard, didn't tell the whole truth even at death's door. He didn't say that the Olympians' divine kingdom had such a huge flaw. It had to be repaired after every battle. Moreover, the repair required fragments of the divine kingdom. Obviously, the 23rd Blood Mary had planned to use Ares's divine kingdom to build her own divine kingdom. If the 23rd Blood Mary were to get into a fight with someone, her divine kingdom might be damaged as a result. Of course, from Ares' point of view, there was nothing wrong with him doing this. But from Qin Zhao's point of view, this was clearly an unacceptable lie. So, they had to settle the score later. But before that, they had to solve 23rd Blood Mary's problem. After hanging up, Qin Zhao looked at Bader. Okay, tell me your request. Right now, it was only a one-sided agreement. Bader hadn't said his request yet. If Qin Zhao's group couldn't give him what Bader needed, then the deal couldn't be reached. Bader looked at Qin Zhao with a smile. Then he pushed a contract in black and white before Qin Zhao. This is our religious contract. If you sign it, I can get the money first. Qin Zhao looked at Bader in disdain. Do you think I'm stupid? If he signed the contract, Qin Zhao wouldn't even have a place to cry if Bader made any unreasonable requests. Let's be more direct, Qin Zhao said. Tell me what you want. If you have it, we'll trade. If not, we'll call it a day. Bader smiled awkwardly. He was just trying his luck. If Qin Zhao really fell for it, it would be a big win. Bader was about to speak when Qin Zhao suddenly interrupted. You'd better weigh the price first before making your own request. While the Asgard divine race's method of building a divine kingdom is precious, it's not unique, right? Moreover, this method is only a substitute. If you plan to get rich this way, you'd better stop the transaction now. Bader was about to speak when Qin Zhao suddenly interrupted him. My request is very simple. Help me obtain the soul of Asgard. What is it? The soul of Asgard. The Asgard from the Women's Federation movie? Of course, it's not some alien race. Before becoming a god, the Asgard gods were all humans. Of course, it's a different story for a god's descendant like me. Bader said, Asgard is an alternate dimension created by the Aesir gods for generations. In your human understanding, it can be said to be the realm of gods. Then what's the soul of Asgard? It's Odin's soul. As the king of the Aesir gods, Odin inherited the throne of Asgard and also became the soul of Asgard. I still don't understand. What exactly is it? A human soul? Simply put, Asgard is a place and Odin is a person or a god. You can think of Asgard as Odin's territory, his private territory, and this territory, which is Asgard, can be given or inherited. You want the soul of Asgard or Odin because you want to inherit Asgard? Yes, but you don't have to worry. Odin has already fallen. But his soul is bound to Asgard, so it still exists. He doesn't have a consciousness and isn't as powerful as when he was alive. No matter what you say, it's hard for you to convince me to fight against the king of gods in Norse mythology with a mere method of building a divine kingdom. Chen Zhao looked at Balder meaningfully. Also, he's your father, right? Odin's relationship with me isn't important. I'm not close to him either. After all, my bloodline is more like my mother's, the Vanir gods, Bader said disapprovingly. Odin isn't as powerful as you think. Plus, he's only a remnant soul now. If not for Asgard's protection, he would have disappeared completely long ago. No, the name Odin has already determined the unfairness of this deal. Chen Zhao wouldn't believe Bader's words. Bader himself was already so difficult to deal with. As the king of gods, Odin definitely wasn't weak either. Otherwise, Bader would have done it himself. Would he still need external help? What else do you want? Bader asked. I don't know, like Thor's hammer or something. Hearing Chen Zhao's words, Bader was so angry that he almost laughed. Mjolnir is the symbol of Asgard's heir. Only someone with the qualifications and potential of a king can lift the hammer. So, even if it's placed before you, you won't be able to lift it. Of course, the main problem is that if I can take out Mjolnir, why would I need you? I'll just place the hammer before Odin's soul. So, I'll take the risk to help you get Odin's soul and the entire divine realm. What can I get? There are many, many treasures in Odin's treasury, some of which are beyond your imagination. If you succeed, I can give you a chance to pick any 3 of them. Chen Zhao narrowed his eyes and looked at Bader. I need help. I can't do it alone. Also, I want all of us to have 3 chances. Chen Zhao didn't trust Bader, so he had to be wary of Bader's sneak attacks. If he was alone, Chen Zhao couldn't guarantee that Bader wouldn't sneak attack him after he dealt with Odin's soul. So, Chen Zhao was also looking for a reliable comrade. Impossible. There are many treasures in Odin's treasury, but not as many as you think. I'll feel heartache if I give away 1 more. 3 is already my limit. Okay, looks like our negotiation has failed. Cancel the deal. Chapter 2940. Wait a minute. 4. I'll give you 4 chances to choose your treasures. You should know that the treasures in Odin's collection are at least divine artifacts. Chen Zhao shook his head with a smile. The number of choices wasn't important. The key was that he did not trust Bader. To go to Asgard alone with Bader. They even wanted to go against their god king. Chen Zhao would have to be crazy to accept this mission. In particular, Bader did not allow him to bring any companions. No matter how he looked at it, it looked like Balder was planning to set him up. Bader frowned at him. Chen Zhao, on the other hand, was extremely relaxed. In any case, the real deal was with the 23rd generation Blood Mary. Besides, she didn't really need the Aesa Divine race's method. The Olympians' method of building a divine kingdom was not entirely impossible. There was no doubt that Bader was looking for him because of his battle prowess. This was what he was most confident about. Even if Bader searched the entire world, he probably wouldn't be able to find another person who could compare to Chen Zhao. Chen Zhao felt that it was illogical for Bader to reject his request. Logically speaking, the more helpers he had, the higher his chances of success would be. Shouldn't Bader be happier? But he actually rejected Chen Zhao's request because he was stingy about treasures that didn't even belong to him. Wasn't this too illogical? Therefore, Chen Zhao couldn't help but guess that Balder's intentions weren't as simple as he'd said. By the way, one last question. What problem? Is there really a rainbow bridge in Asgard? No, Bader replied with a black face. Okay, thank you for the meal. I hope I'll treat you next time. Chen Zhao stood up, planning to leave. Mr. Chen, why don't you reconsider? All right, I'll think about it when I get back. Then he turned and left. Bader watched Chen Zhao's back as he left. Of course, he was furious and disappointed, no matter how amiable and approachable he usually seemed. But he was still a god, a high and mighty god. Being rejected by a mortal was indeed an affront to his dignity. Of course, Chen Zhao's power made him helpless. She was furious, but she couldn't do anything to him. It was a terrible feeling. Chen Zhao often gave others this feeling of helplessness. After Chen Zhao left, he went to meet up with the other three. Seeing Chen Zhao, the 23rd Blood Mary immediately went up and asked impatiently, "What do you think? Is the deal complete?" Chen Zhao looked at the 23rd Blood Mary in her infant form. She floated in the air, looking like something out of a supernatural movie. Chen Zhao shook his head and told him the whole story. "What do you think? There's a problem here," Zhang Tianyi said. "The problem is very big." Baifla also said, "Under normal circumstances, even if this is a request, even if he has other thoughts, he shouldn't have rejected it so obviously. It's so obvious that others can immediately sense the problem. So he's either playing hard to get, or after rejecting your request, he'll raise the conditions slightly later." Although the 23rd Blood Mary was disappointed, she understood that there was a huge problem with Bader's teachings. The 23rd generation Blood Mary frowned and said, "No matter what, you have to stick to your request. The three of us must go with you. It's a pity that we don't have enough information. We can't figure out what the God of Light's goal is." The four guessed that Bader's goal wasn't simple. After all, it was a very obvious choice. Bader's ultimate goal was Asgard. Logically speaking, as long as he could achieve his goal, he shouldn't reject any conditions within a certain range. He shouldn't bargain with Chen Zhao. At least, Chen Zhao felt that his request wasn't too much. He didn't ask Bader to give him half of Asgard after the deal was done. If he asked for a few more items from Odin's collection, it would hurt Bader's heart. That could only mean that Bader was too insincere. Or rather, Bader's goal wasn't that simple. Chen Zhao looked at the 23rd Blood Mary. "What's your plan?" In the twilight of the gods, Odin was actually bitten to death by the demon wolf Fenrir. Perhaps the legend isn't completely true, but it definitely represents a part of the truth. I've fought with the demon wolf Fenrir. Perhaps it wasn't its full power, but it definitely wasn't at a hopeless level. I think that even at its peak, I can still beat it. From this, we can deduce that Odin, the king of the gods, is actually pitifully weak. At least, none of the four of us will lose to him. The 23rd Blood Mary continued. From this, we can see that while the Asgard divine kingdom is stable, its combat ability is pitifully low. It feels like a small world for a normal cultivator who reaches the Shangqing state, mediocre and weak. So, even if this deal is completed and I get the method to build the Asgard divine kingdom, I still need to reconsider. Chen Zhao nodded. Indeed, even someone as strong as the 23rd Blood Mary wouldn't be able to accept becoming mediocre all of a sudden. Those who stood at the top of the pyramid would definitely not be able to accept falling down one day. The 23rd Blood Mary was like this, and so was Chen Zhao. But even without the divine kingdom, it's best if Bader's deal can continue. Find Asgard and the divine realm in Norse mythology. Perhaps there'll be some unexpected rewards. The 23rd Blood Mary's eyes shone with a fanatical light. Chen Zhao, Zhang Tianyi, and Baifla all revealed dangerous gazes. Bader might have been up to no good at the start of the deal, but they weren't good people either. If Bader had the intention of tricking Chen Zhao, then he definitely found the wrong target. As long as you're strong enough, you don't have to be afraid of anyone tricking you, the 23rd Blood Mary said. Without a doubt, Chen Zhao definitely had the right to say this now, because he was now the most powerful existence in the world. Of course, he wasn't strong enough to face all schemes, but at least he was strong enough to defeat any enemy. Chapter 2941. Hey, Chin, the results are out. Well, what's the result? Yes, they are indeed related by blood. They should be close relatives within 3 generations. The accuracy is 99.5%, for said. Do you want to come get the test report? I'll go get it later. By the way, is the identification expert in your hospital here? His schedule is tight, but if it's you, he should be happy to meet you. Not only was Chen Zhao an honorary doctor, but he was also one of the shareholders. No doctor in the hospital would refuse to meet Chen Zhao. Before going to the hospital, he went to the airport first. Soon, Li Qing and Ethan came out of the airport. Ethan didn't look too good. He also learned the reason yesterday. Although he was happy that Li Qing was able to find her family, but he had ruined the holiday. Qin Zhao, is there any news from the hospital? Li Qing asked anxiously. Okay, let's talk in the car, Qin Zhao said. After the two got in, Chen Zhao started the car and glanced at Li Qing in the back seat. Big Sister Qing, the hospital has already given the results of the test. The DNA comparison has confirmed that he is a close relative within 3 generations. The accuracy is 99.5%. Hearing that, Li Qing was so excited that she almost fainted. I've made an appointment with an expert. I'll go to the hospital to get the DNA comparison report and talk to the expert. Okay. Where is my granddaughter now? She's working at my cafeteria now, Qin Zhao said. Li Qing arrived at the hospital with anticipation and uneasiness in her heart and met the expert. This was because there was a step in DNA identification that required manual comparison and analysis. Therefore, appraisal experts would analyze the computer comparison results at this step. The accuracy of the computer comparison was 99.5%. In fact, the accuracy of the appraisal experts was much higher than this figure. Of course, an appraisal expert would not tell you that it was 100% accurate. In fact, the appraisal result was infinitely close to 100%. Li Qing was so excited that tears streamed down her cheeks. Whether it was the East or the West, there would always be an indescribable feeling towards blood relatives. It was a feeling quite different from love, but more warm and soothing. This was especially true for Li Qing. Qin Zhao, I want to see her. I'll take you there. The car stopped outside the cafeteria. Li Qing's eyes were hazy as she silently looked at Carrie in the restaurant. Li, aren't you going in to talk to her? Tell her who you are, Ethan urged. I'm not ready yet. Li Qing hesitated. What's there to hesitate about? She's your granddaughter. No. Let me think again. Qin Zhao, is she doing well? Qin Zhao hesitated for a moment before answering. As far as I know, her life isn't very good. This is what I found out yesterday. It's not very comprehensive. Li Qing took the information from Chen Zhao. This made her feel even more disappointed and guilty. Carrie's mother had passed away in an accident when she was 5 years old. In the past, Carrie had spent most of her time in the orphanage. Another year was spent in juvenile detention for burglary. Ever since Chen Zhao picked Li Qing up from the airport, she hadn't stopped crying. Suddenly, Li Qing seemed to sense something. Chen Zhao, did she also come into contact with the supernatural world? Her great-grandmother came into contact with her. Now, she's followed by a thing called Wu-Wu. Li Qing's brows relaxed. The divine beast Wu-Wu? That was her father's guardian beast. The 100 Beast Steel is the holy artifact of the Maoshan sect, but it's always been under the control of the Qingyi sect. Because they all came from the same source, there were many things that couldn't be clearly distinguished. Qin Zhao, can I ask you something? Auntie Li, please. Be her master. Chen Zhao's teeth hurt. You've already discussed this, right? Chen Zhao didn't believe in fate, but this was what Sage Qingping had told him. He'd said that Carrie was destined to be his disciple. If someone else had made this request, Chen Zhao wouldn't have agreed, but it was Li Qing who'd made it. Okay, Chen Zhao's answer was simple and direct. Auntie Li, my understanding of spells might not be as deep as yours. What I have might not be suitable for her either. Can't you teach her yourself? She can't join the Qingyi sect, and I can't let her join the Mao Mountain either. I've had enough of the mutual deceit of these sections. The bigger the sect, the more tragic the fights. My whole family died in the fights within the sect. I don't want her to be the next victim. Li Qing actually didn't want Chen Zhao to be Carrie's master. She wanted him to be her protector. The only person Li Qing could trust and had the ability to protect Carrie was Chen Zhao. So she could only beg Chen Zhao. Let's go in and eat. Also, talk to her, Chen Zhao said. Li Qing hesitated and hesitated again. Let's go, Ethan said. I'm hungry too. Plus, this is Chen's restaurant. It'll be a waste if we don't eat. After entering the restaurant, they found a place and sat down. The waiter immediately came over. Boss, do you need my service? Go and call Carrie over, Chen Zhao said. Carrie walked over to Chen Zhao, annoyed. Boss, these two are my friends. Ask them what they need. Boss, this is a buffet restaurant. Chen Zhao glared at Carrie. Carrie immediately gave in. He looked at Li Qing. Madam, do you need help? No. Thank you, Li Qing said, holding back the urge to cry. Sir, I don't need it. I'll get it myself. Go and get another set of cutlery. Come and sit, Chen Zhao said in a commanding tone. Boss, I've eaten. If you don't listen, you might not eat for the next 3 days. Carrie was helpless. She obediently followed Chen Zhao's request and sat down at the table. Carrie felt that it was a bit strange. The Asian woman seemed to be staring at her. Madam, is there a problem? No, nothing. How long have you been in contact with those things? Those things. Oh. Carrie immediately realized that the woman was also a kindred spirit. She discovered her uniqueness, so she kept staring at her. Just a few days. Have you seen an evil spirit before? Yes. I was scared the first time, Carrie said. Were you scared the first time you saw it? Yes, Li Qing said, pointing at Chen Zhao. Anyone would be scared the first time, including him. Auntie Li, did I tell you about my first encounter with an evil spirit? Chapter 2942. Li Qing and Carrie seemed to get along well. Jia Liwen's saliva flew everywhere as she spoke, and Li Qing looked at her with a gaze full of enthusiasm. Don't you want to eat something? Okay. Waiter, bring some food over. The waiter. Do you have a boyfriend? No. 2 years ago, there was a guy who chased after me. He was a gangster from my place. Because I rejected him, he brought people to block my door. In the end, I chased him away with my hunting gun. After that, no one else dared to pursue me. Carrie proudly recounted her glorious history. Li Qing nodded with a smile and glanced at Chen Zhao. Chen Zhao nodded slightly, indicating that he got it. He already called Li Qing sister, and now he'd agreed to be Carrie's master. Of course, he couldn't reject this small favor. This is my contact number. You can contact me if you need anything in the future. Can I also find you if I have magic problems? There's someone stronger than me here, Li Qing said. Maybe the strongest. Him? Carrie asked, pointing at Ethan. Know him, Ethan said with a dark expression. He's been eating the whole time. Why do you think I'm the strongest? Did I suddenly have an aura too? Carrie looked at Chen Zhao in disdain. Because of her first impression, Carrie didn't like Chen Zhao at all. Of course. Chen Zhao didn't have a good impression of Carrie either. Chen Zhao saw that the grandfather and grandson were chatting happily, so he didn't interrupt. Carrie was also very talkative. Li Qing was a good listener most of the time. Where do you live now? Carrie told him an address. Just then, Ethan frowned. That's not a good place. You should find another place. First, you have to have money, Carrie said, glancing at Chen Zhao. First, you have to pay back the money you owe me. Li Qing didn't say anything. Right now, Chen Zhao was Carrie's master. Therefore, he had the most right to speak. After all, they were master and disciple in a Chinese sect, not teacher and student. When a disciple had a master, the master was the greatest. Of course, Carrie hadn't become his disciple yet. But was that important? Carrie was off work. Perhaps the manager thought that Chen Zhao was related to Carrie. Therefore, he was still polite to her. He didn't give her any excessive work assignments either. So, after the restaurant's opening hours ended, Carrie was released. Jia Liwen didn't like Qin Zhao. However, she felt that using Chen Zhao's identity to make things easier for herself was not a bad idea. Just as she was about to flag down a taxi, a business car suddenly stopped in front of her. "Miss Carrie, please get in." "Who are you?" Jia Liwen realized that she did not recognize the people in the car. Everyone in the car was wearing black suits and sunglasses. Jia Liwen speculated maliciously. Driving in the middle of the night with sunglasses on, was he not afraid of getting into an accident? "We're your kind." "Let me introduce myself. I'm Brits." "Same kind." "I don't understand what you're saying." "Miss Carrie, we don't have any bad intentions. We're an organization, a spiritualist organization. We're here to invite you to join us. Of course, it's voluntary, so we want you to get to know our companions. Whether you accept our invitation or not, there's no harm in knowing a few of your kind, right?" Jia Liwen thought for a moment. "How do you know about me?" "In the past few days, you've destroyed at least 3 evil spirits every night. It's hard not to attract our attention with such frequent movements." Jia Liwen was a bit hesitant, so Brits continued. "Miss Carrie, to be honest, there's nothing worth lying to you. You're still very weak right now. You've probably just awakened. Do you have a guide? If not, your future achievements will be very limited, and we have investigated your information. You are very poor, so poor that you can't even afford a second-hand car. So, with your current terrible situation, do you think there is a need to worry about a situation worse than this?" "You're right." Jia Liwen was also a tomboy. After thinking for a moment, she still got in the car. However, Jia Liwen was still vigilant. She was ready to summon Shogo at any moment. The car drove further and further into a remote area, which made Jia Liwen feel a little scared. But then, the car drove to the front of a mountain. The mountain slowly opened up, just like a mysterious and modern base in a sci-fi movie. The car then drove into the opened entrance of the mountain. Jia Liwen then saw an underground base that gave off a technological feeling. This base hidden inside the mountain was the new base of the psionic team. This base had more than 100 official members of the psionic team and around 1,000 logistics team. There were also all kinds of machinery, or a mixture of machinery and magic. Jia Liwen had already forgotten about the danger. She was full of curiosity about everything here. It was like Granny Lu entering the Grand View Garden. Along the way, Brits gave a brief introduction about the psionic team. Of course, the most important thing was the psionic team's abundant funding. Looking at the surrounding base, one could see how abundant the psionic team's capital was, and how powerful the psionic team was. Jia Liwen was tempted. However, the biggest problem had yet to be solved. Brits had yet to get to the most important problem, the problem of personal benefits. Jia Liwen was a little distracted after listening to Brits's boast. She had been waiting for Brits to get to the point. However, Brits was still blabbering on and on. He had no intention of getting to the point. "Mr. Brits, what about my benefits? Our psionic team is a big family, but we still have a strict and clear division of ranks, as well as a reward system for completing missions. In other words, the level you are at, the difficulty you complete, and the number of missions you complete are all clearly divided. What kind of salary can I get at a rank like mine? What kind of monsters can you deal with at the moment?" Brits asked. "Monsters? I've only dealt with evil spirits." "What kind of monsters are you talking about?" Jia Liwen asked, a little scared. "Miss Jia Liwen, I'm afraid you can only carry out the lowest F-rank missions, and the reward for F-rank missions is at most $100 per mission." "What? Why so little? I've been doing more than that myself. Last time, a little girl offered $500. You're such a big organization, and you're only offering $100? Chapter 2943. Brits could already feel the distrust in Carrie's eyes. Her eyes seemed to be saying, "Are you treating me like a laborer or a fool?" Brits had no choice. The psionic team was indeed large. However, most of the funds were still invested in the base and the senior members. F-level missions were $100, E-level missions were $500, D-level missions were $2,000, C-level missions were $8,000, B-level missions were $50,000, and A-level missions were $300,000. S-level missions were $3 million. This was how the psionic team divided the rewards for different levels of missions. The rewards for low-level missions were generally lower than the market price, while the rewards for high-level missions were generally higher. They were using the money saved from low-level missions to subsidize high-level missions. In fact, giving such a high reward for high-level missions was also to attract strong people to join their psionic team. Of course, Brits could not say that her current reward was higher than those experts. He looked at Carrie seriously. "Right now, you're not just carrying out a mission. What you need is to strengthen yourself, and we can provide you with help and resources in this regard. Once your strength is increased, you won't have to worry about why low-level missions have such low rewards. The rewards for high-level missions will definitely be so rich that you can't imagine it." Of course, the rewards for high-level missions were indeed very tempting. But the key problem was that high-level missions were also very difficult. From C-level onwards, it basically required teamwork. Last month, for example, they had completed an A-level mission for B-level missions and several missions below B-level. They had indeed accepted an S-level mission, but it had ended in failure. For teams had carried out an S-level mission together, but in the end, 2 teams had been completely wiped out. One team had been half crippled, and one team had been heavily injured. Even the employer had died because the mission had failed. This also made the higher-ups of the psionic team realize that their team was really not strong enough. They had received information that their old rival, the Supernatural Society. Last month, they had received 3 S-level missions. All of them had been carried out as individual teams, and all of them had been completed successfully. One of them had been able to easily complete S-level and above missions. The other had tried their best to complete S-level missions, but they had all ended in failure. From this, the difference in strength between the 2 organizations could be clearly felt. Of course, in the eyes of the higher-ups of the psionic team, this was because they had a lot of people and their strength was mixed. There was also a classification of strength that wasn't very accurate. Some looked strong, but in reality their combat strength was average, and they were ranked very high. As for those who hid their strength, or those who could only display their strength in actual combat, their strength was ranked at a lower level. However, after several rounds of rescreening and combat strength assessment, the combat strength of the team had increased significantly. Of course, there was a shortage of low-level members. That was why the psionic team started recruiting on a large scale. No matter how strong the spiritualist was, he had to recruit him first. As for strength, battle prowess, and potential, they would have to be screened through actual combat missions. Those who did not have potential or were not strong enough were likely to die in the first few missions or quit. Brits had not sought Carrie out because she was strong or because he saw potential in her. It was only because she was a spiritualist. That was all. Brits hoped that Carrie would grow up, but it didn't matter if he didn't grow up. After all, there were plenty of candidates. In any case, it was like a great wave washing away the sand. In the end, all that was left was real gold. Carrie was in a dilemma. She had experienced the ups and downs of her life in the past few days. First, she had obtained supernatural power. Then, her job and life had changed greatly. Through supernatural power, she had earned a lot of money. But then she had met Qin Zhao, that road-blocking ghost. She had fallen. Now, she was faced with the same choice. As long as she joined the organization, she could get rid of that road-blocking ghost. She felt that no matter how strong Qin Zhao was, he couldn't be stronger than a large organization like the psionic team. Therefore, the psionic team would definitely be able to help her solve Qin Zhao's problem. According to Brits, she definitely didn't have enough strength right now to earn a lot of money. How long do you think I'll need to earn a lot of money? That depends on your potential. I think you have a lot of potential, but your growth isn't up to me. Based on my experience, you'll need at least a year to train. Hearing Britz's words, Carrie lowered her head and pondered in silence. What do you think? I think it's doable. Joining the organization can at least help you get rid of that man. A year's time is enough for you to grow to a level that everyone can only look up to. By then, even if that man appears again, you'll have enough strength to fight him. No, you'll be able to defeat him easily. Okay, I'll join the psionic team. Do I need to sign a contract? A contract. The demon will be the witness. Britz took out a goatskin contract and handed it to Carrie. Bite your finger and leave a fingerprint. Carrie was a bit repulsed by this obviously evil contract, but Yu said in her mind, don't worry. A low-level contract like this doesn't have much binding power. Even if you break it, the demon won't be very strong. With his strength, he can deal with it in minutes. The next day, Qin Zhao enjoyed his free lunch break. Just then, a call came in. It was the manager of the buffet. Boss, your call. Portia handed the phone to Qin Zhao. Who is it? Boss, I'm Sig's manager, Lideli. Yes, what's up? Boss, it seems that Miss Carrie resigned today. Resigned? She resigned? Qin Zhao's eyelids twitched. Is she still in the shop? No, she just called me. Okay, I got it. Qin Zhao took a deep breath and suppressed his irritation. Then he dialed Carrie's number. Miss Carrie, you'd better explain the reason for your resignation. Or do you already have enough money to compensate for the losses you caused? Fuck. Asterisk Shoal. I'm not afraid of you anymore. As for your extortion, I don't care. I'm warning you, I've already joined a powerful organization. You can't threaten me. Oh, powerful organization? Which one? Psionic team. If you know what's good for you, don't mess with me anymore. The psionic team is stronger than you can imagine. Miss Carrie, I admire your courage, but this isn't over yet. Remember, no one can refuse to pay me back the money they owe me. No one. Even if you join the Vatican. You can't escape from my debt collection. Chapter 2944. Night. In the surveillance room of the psionic team HQ, Morgan and Michael were playing games on their phones during working hours. Just one round. Morgan cursed in anger. Fuck, Michael. When did your skills become so good? You've never won a round before. I found that lucky girl today and got her to bless me. You're cheating. How did you do it? Morgan was both angry and curious. The official members were all arrogant. Usually, they didn't even look at the people from the logistics department. How did Michael get an official member to bless him? Just then, Michael's attention shifted to the surveillance screen. Hey, don't change the topic. Your trick doesn't work. Tell me, how did you get that lucky girl to bless you? Michael ignored Morgan's question. Pointing at the screen, he said, Look, there's someone there. He's not one of us. Morgan didn't believe it. It was deep in the forest, and it was nighttime. Other than the psionic team, who else would come here? Wouldn't they be eaten by a cat on the way? There's really someone. Damn, this idiot. He's so troublesome, Michael said in annoyance. Morgan couldn't do anything. He could only put down the game and go out with Michael. Occasionally, someone would approach the psionic team HQ recklessly. Now and then, they needed to chase these unwelcome guests away. The two drove a Hummer out of a secret tunnel. When the car stopped before the person, they realized that it was an Asian. Hey, kid, this isn't a place you should be, Michael yelled. Fuck off. Get out of my sight, or I'll teach you a lesson. Qin Zhao looked up at the two in the Hummer. You should wear your seatbelts. Fuck, what are you talking about? There's no traffic police here to control us. No, I'm serious. If there's a car accident, the seatbelts can ensure your safety. At least you won't die. Just then, Morgan took out his electric baton. Kid, do you know what this is? If you don't fuck off, I'm going to fuck your butt with this. Morgan, what? Can't you see that I almost scared this kid to the point of pissing his ass? Morgan. Our car. Michael's voice was trembling. Morgan suddenly felt that the car was shaking slightly. Looking down, the Hummer seemed to be floating. What's going on? The two suddenly realized something and looked at Qin Zhao in fear. They clearly remembered that a month ago, there was an idiot who provoked the official members of the psionic team. Then he lay in the ICU for half a month. Obviously, the two of them had made the same mistake. No matter where this guy came from, the result would be the same. Please fasten your seatbelts. You have 10 seconds. 9, 8, 7, terrified. The two hurriedly fastened their seatbelts. Accompanied by the two men's terrified cries, the car was suddenly thrown out. It whizzed towards the mountain wall. An ear-piercing alarm suddenly rang in the training room. Jia Liwen stopped her practice and pushed open the door to the training room. He discovered that the doors to the other training rooms were also open, and the official members were all running out. Carrie stopped Yemen, whom she had just met today. Iman was the same as her, a newcomer who had just joined. She had joined 2 weeks earlier than Carrie. The two women were newcomers, so they got along well. There's an enemy invasion. This is an enemy invasion alert. Everyone who stays in the base must go and fight. Enemy invasion? Why would there be an enemy invasion? Could it be some evil organization? I don't know, but most of the time it's a false alarm. Of course, there was an enemy invasion alert on the first day I came, but it was a guy who recommended himself. He wanted to show his power, so he purposely appeared as an attack. It caused quite a misunderstanding. It's not a big problem, Iman said. This is the headquarters of the psionic team. There are more than 100 official members here, and most of them are much stronger than us. No idiot would really attack the headquarters. Okay. Hearing Iman's words, Carrie felt much more at ease. But the alarm is still there. Everyone has to rush to the scene as soon as possible. Let's go. Carrie nodded, and the two of them ran towards the exit. At the exit, Carrie's pupils constricted. The person surrounded by the psionic team was none other than Qin Zhao. Carrie shrunk her head subconsciously, as if she was afraid that Qin Zhao would see her. All the members of the psionic team glared at Qin Zhao aggressively. Clearly, no one was happy about the arrival of this uninvited guest. After all, most of the members were already asleep at this time. If not for this guy, they would be asleep already. Stop! All of you, stop! Just then, Britz's hurried shout came from the rear. Britz quickly ran to the scene. When he saw Qin Zhao, Britz felt terrible. Mr. Qin, I think you need to give me an explanation. Why did you attack our psionic team for no reason? Qin Zhao had already attacked once, so Britz knew Qin Zhao's power very well. The last attack had almost broken the psionic team's backbone. It wasn't easy for the psionic team to rise from the ashes and stand up again. He didn't want this to happen again. The psionic team's rebirth made them stronger, but it wasn't enough to challenge Qin Zhao. Therefore, he had to avoid conflict. He couldn't let Qin Zhao use the same trick again and defeat the psionic team by himself. If the psionic team suffered the same setback again, they might not be able to recover. I'm here to ask for someone. Qin Zhao's gaze swept across the psionic team members. In the end, his eyes locked onto the cowering Carrie hiding at the back. What? You still don't want to come out? Miss Carrie. Britz was surprised. What was going on? Did Carrie and Qin Zhao know each other? Carrie swallowed and mustered her courage to stand out. She didn't expect Qin Zhao to attack the psionic team's headquarters so brazenly right after she said that. You asterisk shoal. Do you think I'm afraid of you? I'm not your dog anymore. Qin Zhao was still as arrogant as ever. Who gave you the courage? Or did someone teach you to say that? Is it the psionic team? Chapter 2945. That's right. I don't need to be afraid of you anymore, Carrie said, mustering her courage. She wasn't stupid. If she wanted to protect herself, she could only drag the team down with her. Blitz didn't feel good at all. What Jia Liwen had said had put them in a difficult position. He didn't expect that he'd pulled a newcomer into the team. He didn't expect that the newcomer would be a ticking time bomb. Mr. Chin, I don't know what conflict you have with Carrie, but I hope that you can forget about it for my sake. Blitz's tone softened. It seemed like he was compromising. Chun Zhao smiled faintly. Of course. For your sake, I can write it off. But I can't just write off a debt, right? That's right. That's right. How much does she owe you? $1 billion. Qin Zhao said matter-of-factly. Blitz's expression froze. How much did you say? 1 billion. There was an uproar. Carrie's eyes widened. The next moment, Carrie was furious. You liar. When did I owe you $1 billion? At most, 100,000. It was 100,000, but because of what you said, I've decided to raise it to 1 billion. Blitz's face was filled with anger. Mr. Chin, you're making things difficult for me. An ordinary member of the team dares to offend me? I have to suspect that you guys ordered her to do this, or that you're ready for war. Blitz didn't know what Carrie had said to Qin Zhao, but it definitely wasn't anything good. At this moment, Blitz was filled with regret. Why had he dragged Carrie into the psionic team? He was asking for trouble, but now she was a member of the team. He wanted to give up on Carrie, but there were so many members here. If he said that he was going to give up on Carrie now, the psionic team would instantly fall apart. Mr. Chin, on behalf of the team, I'm willing to pay $1 million to stop this. What do you think? Nothing. Qin Zhao rejected Blitz directly. Mr. Blitz, there's so many of us. Why should we be afraid of him? Yeah, since he dares to cause trouble in our headquarters alone, he should be prepared to be taught a lesson. Blitz was frustrated. If possible, he wouldn't mind beating Qin Zhao up. But the key problem was that they couldn't beat him. Qin Zhao was too powerful. Just then, Vestana and Toddy Belster walked out. Qin Zhao sensed an unusual aura from Vestana. Powerful. It was extremely powerful. Last time, he knew that Vestana was practicing some kind of forbidden secret art. It seemed that the forbidden secret technique had succeeded. Mr. Qin. Vestana stared at Qin Zhao. There was a hint of eagerness in her eyes. Miss Vestana, you seem to have changed a lot. It's really surprising. I didn't expect that weak girl to have grown to such heights. Indeed, even I am surprised. The corner of Vestana's mouth curled up into a smile. I know what happened. Why don't we make a bet? What kind of bet? Mr. Torty and I will join hands to fight you. As a senior, you shouldn't mind us joining hands, right? If you win, you can take him away. Qin Zhao was obviously happy to accept. He didn't plan on defeating the psionic team right now anyway. But what if Mr. Qin loses? If I lose, I don't think you'll let me go, so it's meaningless for me to take out any chips now. Come, let me see how you've changed. In fact, not long ago, Toddy Belster had told him that Vestana's secret technique was close to succeeding. Mr. Torty, Vestana said in a low voice. Cover me. Of course, happy to help. Toddy Belster lifted a hand and a magic array appeared on the ground. 2 huge terror demons crawled out of the magic formation and charged at Qin Zhao. The terror demons' gigantic bodies and the terrifying aura they exuded caused most spiritualists to feel shocked and terrified. They all knew that Toddy Belster was the high-level consultant of the psionic team. He was second only to Qin Zhao and above everyone else. As for exactly how strong he was, no one could say for sure. Only some of the older members knew that Toddy Belster's strength was said to be above everyone else. Now that they saw the 2 terror demons, they more or less understood how terrifying he was. However, the older members knew that this was only the tip of the iceberg of Toddy Belster's true strength. Qin Zhao lifted his right arm and pressed it down slightly. The 2 terrifying terror demons were pressed to the ground in an instant. The ground had caved in to form two pits, and two unlucky terror demons were struggling in the pits. Chun Zhao stomped and raised his fist, charging at Toddy Belster. Just then Vestana moved too. She was extremely fast. Her arm seemed to be flowing with lava. Flames flickered in her veins, emitting scorching heat. Bang! The two fists met. Chun Zhao stood where he was, and Vestana didn't retreat either. Vestana laughed. I used to think that Mr. Chen's fist was unstoppable, but now I realize that I overestimated you. Chun Zhao laughed too. The next moment, he suddenly exerted force. Bang! Before Vestana could show any more emotions, her body was already smashed into the mountain wall. The mountain wall was smashed into pieces, burying Vestana. Looks like you're hallucinating, Chun Zhao said calmly. Chun Zhao said calmly. Toddy Belster hurriedly stepped back. Stop, stop, stop. I surrender, Toddy said hurriedly. I don't like close combat. Even if he was acting, he didn't want to be beaten up in public. Out of everyone present, he was the only one who knew how terrifying Chun Zhao was. His ability to summon demons was given to him by Chun Zhao. Therefore, he had no chance of winning against Chun Zhao, especially since he was a survivor of the Demon Island battle. He knew that Chun Zhao's terror had no limit. Boom! Just then, Vestana lifted the gravel covering her body. She returned to the battlefield aggressively. It seemed that she hadn't completely accepted her defeat. Ms. Vestana, that's enough. Stop, Toddy Belster said. Toddy Belster said at the right time, You are not perfect enough now. It is not rational to challenge him with your imperfections. I didn't lose, Vestana said, gritting her teeth. Miss Vestana, you've lost. Brits could also see that Chun Zhao was overwhelming. At least, it was still too early for Vestana to face Chun Zhao. Chapter 2946. The moment the fists clashed, Vestana had already felt that she had lost. However, she couldn't back down now. She'd just made such an arrogant statement, yet she was taken away by Chun Zhao. She felt embarrassed. She'd had a sliver of hope. Her forbidden secret technique wasn't complete yet, but it was 80% complete. Her current combat strength could be said to be very terrifying. So, she felt that even if she couldn't beat Chun Zhao, she could at least fight back. The moment the fists clashed, she was overjoyed. She felt that Chun Zhao's power was only SOZO, but the next moment, Chun Zhao crushed her hopes. It was still that unparalleled power, so strong that it was terrifying. But this time, Vestana quickly calmed down. There was some hope in her unwilling eyes. That power didn't seem to be unconquerable. She wasn't that far away from that punch. If she could take that punch, it was the same as taking all the attacks. Vestana looked forward to the next time she could ascend. She looked forward to the next real face-to-face battle with Chun Zhao. And next time, she wouldn't fail again. Vestana could feel it. That day wasn't that far away anymore. Carrie was about to pee her pants. Couldn't she even hide here? Couldn't the psionic team protect her? Chun Zhao looked at Carrie with a smile. Look, I said that no one can protect you. Fuck, if you want to take Carrie away, you'll have to do it over my dead body. Just then, Carrie's only friend, Iman, stood before Carrie and roared. Sure. Chun Zhao raised his hand and aimed it at Iman instantly. Iman felt like death was coming. Stop! Suddenly, Toddy Belster yelled. Immediately, a huge demon appeared behind him. The demon's entire body was enveloped in terrifying hellfire. The demon's wings were spread to the maximum, more than 10 meters wide. The demon's body emitted terrifying waves. These waves were completely different from normal aura suppression. This was the demonic domain that only big demons could master. This kind of power caused everyone present to turn pale with fright. Only now did they understand how terrifying and powerful Toddy Belster was. Even Vestana was astonished. What kind of power was this? Just by feeling it, and not even as an enemy, the other party felt an immense pressure. In fact, this could no longer be called terrifying but grand. Everyone felt how insignificant they were. In front of Toddy Belster, in front of the huge fiery demon behind him, smiling, Qin Zhao took 2 steps back. Fine, fine. You win. I only want her. I won't touch anyone else. Toddy Belster played along with him. Of course. Qin Zhao had to play along with Toddy Belster. As the high-level advisor of the psionic ability team, he had to display his authority and strength. This was the only way to consolidate his position. Qin Zhao lifted his finger, and Carrie was lifted into the air. Qin Zhao turned and left, disappearing into the darkness in a few seconds. The others were now enveloped by the demonic domain of the great demon behind Toddy Belster. Even if he wanted to help, he couldn't. Only Qin Zhao could come and go as he pleased. Seeing Qin Zhao leave, Toddy Belster looked at Qin Zhao. Suddenly, he half knelt on the ground like a deflated balloon. At the same time, the great demon behind him disappeared. The suppression of the demonic domain was also released. Mr. Toddy, why didn't you stop him just now? You can definitely do it. Westana was shocked by Toddy Belster's terrifying power. She felt that Toddy Belster could definitely stop Qin Zhao. He might even be able to defeat this invincible enemy. But Toddy didn't do that. Instead, they could only watch as Qin Zhao led their people away. Blitz went up to help Toddy Belster up. Even though Westana was their boss, Blitz said unhappily, Miss Vestana, you'd better show some respect to Mr. Torty. I think he's done more than enough. Blitz said with dissatisfaction. Toddy Belster stood up tiredly. Looking at Westana, he said, You think I don't want to? I've only just come into contact with this level of power. As you can see, it's already very difficult for me to maintain it. Mr. Qin, on the other hand, isn't suppressed by my power at all. This can only mean that he also has this power and is more skilled than me. If we fight, I'll definitely lose, so I can only control my power and scare him away. As for defeating him, Toddy Belster looked at Westana seriously. For now, I can't do it alone. Bullshit. Toddy Belster was bullshit. Summoning demons wasn't difficult for him at all. The demonic domain wasn't released by him either. It was by the great demon. So he didn't have to use any energy at all. He didn't even need to do anything to summon the demon. He was just acting until the end. However, Vestana showed a look of remorse. Sorry, Mr. Toddy, I was impulsive. I apologize. Westana apologized sincerely, but it was also because of Toddy Belster's unimaginable power. His position in their hearts rose once again. It was unimaginable power. Toddy Belster was the same. So was Qin Zhao. Mr. Toddy, let me help you in. Blitz helped Toddy Belster in a friendly manner. Vestana followed. She wanted to know everything she could about that power. Perhaps in the next war, this kind of power would become the absolute key. Mr. Toddy, what exactly is that power? Domain. Toddy Belster answered weakly, but firmly, My understanding of domains isn't complete yet. I've only come into contact with it recently. It's the talent and power that only true experts have. Different from me, that man has a complete domain. Have you seen him use it before? Both shook their heads. They couldn't help but look even more worried. The situation wasn't as optimistic as they'd imagined. In the 2 battles, Qin Zhao had defeated them without even using his domain. It wasn't hard to imagine how terrifying that man was. How can we obtain this power? Does everyone have the chance? Blitz asked. Toddy Belster couldn't help but look at Blitz. Theoretically, everyone has the right, but reality isn't theory. Divine Emperor of the 9 Heavens. Chapter 2947. Carrie was so scared that she almost peed her pants. How could this happen? Didn't they agree to be each other's angels? Carrie knew that the psionic team was helpless too, but helplessness didn't mean she could accept it. On the other hand, Qin Zhao's dominance made her panic. Then Carrie was tossed to the ground. Don't be rash. Killing is against the law. Carrie jumped up from the ground. Don't be reckless. Murder is against the law. Carrie jumped up from the ground. Go in. He pointed at a small building behind Carrie. Carrie looked at the building. It was dark inside. She couldn't see anything. Jia Liwen looked at the small building. It was dark inside and she couldn't see anything. Carrie stared at Chen Zhao in fear. Shut up. Chen Zhao waved his finger and Carrie was sent flying into the building. Shut up. Chen Zhao waved his finger and Carrie flew backward, falling into the building. As soon as Carrie stood up, a huge force came from behind and sent her flying. She felt as if all the bones in her body were about to fall apart. Wretched bastard. Carrie cursed. Carrie, it wasn't that man who attacked you just now. It was an evil spirit. What? Evil spirit? He wants an evil spirit to kill me? That evil spirit alone shouldn't be able to kill you. What about the ones on the other side? Carrie suddenly panicked. There was something that looked like a beehive embedded in the opposite wall. It was so densely packed that it made one's scalp go numb. If someone with trypophobia saw this, they'd probably go into shock. Actually, it was a beehive formed by countless evil spirits. They'd emptied the wall and stuffed themselves into it, forming holes. Huwu's tone changed too. Spirit nest. No matter what it was, a quantitative change would result in a qualitative change. The conditions to form a spirit nest were more stringent. An evil spirit at the level of a calamity had to die. Moreover, the spirit didn't dissipate or get rid of. Then, other evil spirits discovered it and used it as a nest. As time passed, the weaker evil spirits didn't devour the spirit. Instead, they were bound by the spirit and became a part of the nest. The evil spirits that were fused with the spirit nest still retained some consciousness, but they were more like the neurons of the spirit nest. If one evil spirit discovered its prey, all the evil spirits would discover it. Oh no, Yuan Wu obviously realized that something was wrong. Over 100 evil spirits screeched at the same time. The surrounding walls were crumbling. What should I do? Think of something. I don't want to die here. Run. The only thing you can do now is run. Carrie fled frantically. Just as she reached the door opened. She saw Chen Zhao standing far away. The moment she rushed out, Chen Zhao tapped lightly. Carrie was shoved back into the building. Half an hour later, Carrie was covered in blood. Dragging her broken right leg, she staggered out of the building. Carrie felt like she was going to die. She also did not know how she had destroyed the spirit nest. In short, she won. No, it should be said that she survived. Carrie suddenly stopped and saw Chen Zhao standing outside. Carrie didn't know how Chen Zhao would deal with her. Without saying anything, Chen Zhao turned and got into the car. After a few seconds, he said coldly, "Get in the car." Carrie didn't have the courage to fight Chen Zhao anymore. She obediently got into the car. "This isn't the way to my house," Carrie said. Chen Zhao didn't say anything. He ignored Carrie's doubts. Carrie was even more terrified. She was afraid that the next destination would be like this. Just now, when she faced the spirit nest, both she and Yuan Wu had used all their strength to destroy it. If the next destination was still like this, she might as well just die. The car stopped in front of a house in a residential area. Jia Liwen looked around. It seemed like someone lived here. It didn't seem like a creepy place. "Get out." Carrie got out of the car, trembling. Chen Zhao walked to the door and knocked. The door opened. He saw Chen Zhao standing outside. Behind him, there was also Carrie, who was covered in blood. "Mr. Chen, she'll be your roommate from now on," Chen Zhao said. With that, Chen Zhao turned and left. He and Jayalowin were left behind, looking at each other. He didn't have time to ask. She hurriedly helped Carrie into the house. Carrie was frightened tonight. She really felt like she was going to die. "Are you okay?" He looked at Carrie, who was curled up on the sofa. "Very," Carrie said. "Who are you to that man?" "I'm not related to him. He saved my life, but I don't have much contact with him, Xiao he said. What about you? Slave. Xiao he looked at Jia Liwen with a strange expression and asked, in what way? I owed him money. Then I found a backer and thought that I could avoid that man. In the end, that man found my backer and beat him up. He dragged me out and made me like this. He's so cruel. Xiao, he didn't know the whole story, so she started to imagine it. You need to wash up. I'll find some medicine for you, Xiao he said. After Jia Liwen showered, Xiao he lent her clothes to Jia Liwen. She also helped Carrie deal with her wounds. She didn't need to talk about the bruises. There were also many bite marks from evil spirit claws. These are from evil spirits. You too? Yes, he threw me in front of a spirit nest. Damn, I almost died there. Xiao he exclaimed, spirit nest? You faced a spirit nest alone? That thing is very difficult to deal with. Back then, my father had to bring 12 disciples to deal with a spirit nest. You're a loose cultivator? Or a family one? Me? I count as a loose cultivator, Carrie said. Then what do you plan to do next? I don't know. I don't even dare to run now. He's a demon. His power covers all of Los Angeles. No, all of California. You can't escape from Los Angeles, Xiao he said. In other words, I have nowhere to run. Will the police protect me? Xiao he glanced at Carrie and shook her head. It's useless. If he wants to kill you, unless you hide in the White House, you won't be able to escape. Is there no other way? I can't help you, Xiao he said. By the way, maybe I can teach you some spells. If you face danger next time, you might be more relaxed. Can you help me defeat him? I don't know how powerful he is. Chapter 2948. Xiao, he had never seen Qin Zhao fight. However, from her interaction with West had said that Qin Zhao was very powerful. As for exactly how powerful he was, Xiao he didn't have a clear idea. However, she knew that West was powerful, because she had run into some trouble once. Coincidentally, West had come to see her. Then, he had helped her solve the problem. He had done it easily too. To make West say that Qin Zhao was very powerful, this meant that Qin Zhao was really powerful. Perhaps much more powerful than the two of them. I know someone. He works for that Qin. He's my uncle. I'll ask him tomorrow, Xiao he said. Don't. You said that your uncle works for that man. If you ask, won't you expose my inner thoughts? She was still afraid. It's okay. I won't ask directly, Xiao he said. Then be careful. Don't expose me. Right now, Carrie's fear of Qin Zhao had reached its peak. It wasn't just that Qin Zhao had mistreated her. Before that, Qin Zhao had faced more than 100 people in the psionic team alone. However, his aura alone was able to suppress more than 100 people in front of him to the point of suffocation. If not for Mr. Toady, the psionic team would probably have been defeated by Qin Zhao alone. Uncle West, are you busy? Yes. I'll treat you to lunch. Okay, give me the address. West could actually feel that Xiao he was still a little guarded against him. Thus, after arranging Xiao He's accommodation and the procedures for her to study abroad, he rarely went to find her. He kept a safe distance that Xiao he felt comfortable with. However, West didn't expect Xiao He to treat him to lunch. This surprised and delighted him. When West arrived at the restaurant, Xiao He was already one step ahead of him. Xiao He, this is for you. Xiao He took West's brocade box. The moment she opened it, a dense wave of magic surged out. It was a small and exquisite pendant. It's a gadget made by our alchemists. Everyone has one, so I took one. No, it's too expensive. Xiao, he couldn't tell what the red gem in the middle of the pendant was, but it was definitely not an ordinary magic material. This kind of top-grade magic material could easily cost tens of thousands of dollars, and most of the time it was measured in grams. Don't worry. This thing is the least valuable in our world. Worthless? How is that possible? Xiao he felt that West had purposely said that so that she would accept the gift. That's the truth. We have too many of these things. If it weren't for stabilizing the market price, I'm afraid we would have sold them all long ago. Now that we have them in our hands, it's not convenient to sell them, so we can only use them for ourselves. How is that possible? It's impossible for there to be a large supply of such top-quality magic materials, right? This is refined from the blood of some magical creature. Even if it's the blood of a large magic creature, there won't be much left after it's been refined, right? We've found many of these magic creatures. No one else has found them yet, so they're exclusive to the supernatural organization. West shrugged. Indeed, the blood of a giant dragon had been refined and concentrated 100 times. But even if it was 100 times more concentrated, it was still quite impressive. A giant dragon could produce 2 tons of dragon blood crystals. This meant that the supernatural organization had more than 20 tons of dragon blood crystals. And this was when they had only refined 1/3 of the giant dragon's blood. The market price of dragon blood crystals was $2 million per kilogram. It was worth far more than gold of the same weight. However, the market demand for dragon blood crystals was much lower than gold. Therefore, if the supernatural organization put the dragon blood crystals on the market, the price of the crystals would probably plummet 100 times. Therefore, the supernatural organization's current strategy was to keep the crystals flowing. But even if they couldn't put the dragon blood crystals on the market in one go, it would still bring them a considerable amount of income. Even without the financial support from the higher-ups, the supernatural organization still had a lot of capital. And this was just the income from the dragon blood crystals. There were other things like dragon horns, dragon balls, dragon scales, and dragon eyes. As long as there was a small supply, they would be sold out the moment they went on the market. Hearing West's words, Xiao he reluctantly accepted the gift. West had given her the pendant mainly because, as an elder, it wasn't suitable for him to give her accessories like bracelets, rings, or necklaces. A pendant was more suitable. Uncle West, who's the most powerful person in the supernatural organization. Our president, of course. Is he as powerful as you? That's for sure. When we asked him to be our president, we liked his abilities. He's also stronger than we expected. He's probably the strongest and most suitable president since the supernatural organization was established. Even I can't find any problems with him. What level is he? Level? It doesn't matter what level it is. He can probably deal with any kind of supernatural threat. Xiao, he ignored the second half of West's sentence. In her opinion, West was blowing his own trumpet and exaggerating. She didn't believe that there was anyone in the world who could deal with all supernatural threats. After all, she was the former mistress of the God Refinement sect. There were also many books in the God Refinement sect that recorded some events in the Huaxia supernatural world. Therefore, Xiao he guessed that West's vision was limited. But thinking about it, it was understandable. After all, North America was the weakest supernatural region. Chen Zhao's strength was certain. But it definitely wasn't as exaggerated as West said. If I want to surpass him, can I do it? West looked at Xiao he with a strange expression and then shook his head silently. To the members of the supernatural organization, Chen Zhao was basically invincible. That was an impression accumulated through battle after battle and many powerful enemies. Now, it was very difficult to be shaken by others. Therefore, Xiao he said that she wanted to surpass their president. From West's point of view, it wasn't just a slim chance. It was practically impossible. Xiao he, if you want to practice more advanced magic, you can join the supernatural organization. We still have many powerful people there. You should set your goal more realistically. You shouldn't set your goal on defeating the president from the start, Han Sun said. Chapter 2949. Reiko. Kaha-chan. The two arranged to meet at the amusement park. Xiao, he and Nagasaka Reiko kept in contact more often. Basically, they belonged to the category of best friends. The two often shopped, ate, and shopped together. Occasionally, they would also be in the same class. The two of them interacted the most in school. They were all international students from the Los Angeles branch campus. Of course, Nagasaka Reiko's results were not very good. However, this couldn't be helped because Nagasaka Reiko would skip 2/3 of her classes every semester. On the contrary, Xiaohe's performance was quite good. The two girls were having fun in the amusement park. When he was tired, he sat on a bench in the amusement park and ate ice cream. Reiko, you skipped class again yesterday. Professor Andy is very angry. It's okay. My family donated a lot of money to the school. I won't be dissuaded. Nagasaka Reiko said disapprovingly. Xiaohe rolled her eyes, feeling a little envious and jealous at the same time. Did you have a mission yesterday? Sort of. Nagasaka Reiko vaguely replied. In fact, she had entered the Tower of Trials yesterday, and he had finally passed the second level and entered the third level. The third floor of the Tower of Trials was where the top fighters of the supernatural organization were. Due to the sudden arrival of the spirit tide, everyone's strength seemed to have improved significantly. This was especially true for the few top-notch combatants. Their growth rate far exceeded that of the others. Although everyone was on the third floor, the difference in combat power was still very obvious. Is it difficult? It's all right, Nagasaka Reiko said. We followed the captain to deal with a few spirit nests. Halfway through, we received a call from the president. He even told us to leave one spirit nest behind. The sudden arrival of the spirit chi tide had significantly increased the strength of the supernatural organization. But at the same time, it also increased the incidence of supernatural incidents. Take yesterday's mission, for example. According to the investigation, those spirit nests were formed in the last 10 days or so. Under normal circumstances, the journey to the spiritual nest would take at least a few years. The formation of the spirit nest was so short that everyone could only attribute it to the spirit chi tide. He was a little speechless. It seemed that the spirit nest they had left behind had been used by Jialiwen in the end. The last spirit nest was taken care of by your president, right? Are you kidding me? The guild leader had to personally deal with a spirit nest? How much do you look down on our guild leader? Are those spirit nests qualified for your president to take action? Nagasaka Reiko rolled her eyes at Xiaohe. Spirit nest? As an official member, he could easily take care of a few of them. Can this thing be used as a standard to measure our guild leader? Don't look down on our guild leader. All right. Originally, he wanted to get something from Nagasaka Reiko that was different from what Wes said. He felt that Nagasaka Reiko came from Japan, and Japan was an area with a lot of supernatural activities. She should be more knowledgeable than West. But in the end, Nagasaka Reiko's tone was almost the same as West's. That matter-of-fact tone, that kind of pride and arrogance when questioning others. Our guild leader is the #1 expert in the world. This time it was Xiaohe who rolled her eyes. Chen Zhao Feilai and their children were all on the train to San Francisco. In order not to let his child disturb others, Chen Zhao specially booked a carriage. It was a 2 to 3 hour journey, and taking the train was more comfortable than flying. When the train arrived, Chen Zhao and his family boarded the double-decker bus that Portia had prepared beforehand. Only the double-decker bus had enough space for Chen Zhao's children to be noisy. Chen Zhao had to bring his family because Marguerite really didn't have many friends, especially friends who could tell him their identities without worry. So, Chen Zhao could only bring his family to support Marguerite. After all, if the groom didn't have any friends or relatives during the wedding, it would be a pity for the wedding and the groom. Marguerite, who was wearing the groom's suit today, went up and hugged Chen Zhao excitedly when he saw him get off the bus. Then, a group of little demons rushed out of the car. As the main character of the wedding, he would never reject lively children. The wedding wasn't held in a church. Instead, it was held in an empty field outside the town. Not many friends and relatives came, including Chun Zhao's family. There were only about 30 people. Chun Zhao's family took half of them. During the wedding prelude, the bride's father held the bride's hand and solemnly handed her to Marguerite. The bride's father said a few words. It was the bride's second marriage. She mentioned the misfortunes of her first marriage and her first husband's bad deeds. The bride's father hoped that Marguerite could change his impression of his son-in-law. Then came the appearance of the wedding witnesses. It was a traditional ceremony. With the vows of husband and wife, the wedding ceremony was finally completed. Then it was like a normal family party. Everyone walked around each other. Marguerite brought the bride to Chun Zhao and Fei Lai. "Andre, you're so handsome today." Chun Zhao punched Marguerite's chest. "Chin, are they all your children?" "Yes." Chun Zhao nodded. "I didn't expect you to have so many children. I'm so envious." Ellie didn't ask much. She could tell from their skin color that most of them weren't biological. "You can have them too, but it'll take some time." The newlyweds definitely couldn't stay by Chun Zhao's side all the time. There were still many friends and relatives that they needed to greet. When Chun Zhao went to get the fruit salad, he suddenly felt someone's gaze. Following the feeling, he saw a black-haired woman. Beside her stood a tall, fat man who looked like a bodyguard. The woman also noticed Chun Zhao's gaze. Then the woman walked over. "Same kind?" she asked straightforwardly. Chun Zhao nodded. "Do you always look at ordinary people like this?" "Professional habit," the woman said disapprovingly. "I just didn't expect the man's friend to have the same kind." "Then he's just an ordinary person," Chun Zhao said immediately. He didn't know who the woman was or what she would do. However, he didn't want to cause any trouble for Marguerite. Just then, Ali came over again. "Amada, when did you come?" "Ali, congratulations." The black-haired woman smiled, which was rare. After exchanging greetings, Ali introduced the black-haired woman to Chun Zhao. She was her cousin. "Where are you from?" Amada asked Chun Zhao. "Los Angeles," Chun Zhao said. "Really? I'm going to LA in a few days too." "What a coincidence. If you have time, call me. I'll treat you to dinner." "Ha, no need for dinner. I think you won't want to see me then." Chun Zhao furrowed his brows. Amitha's tone was rather unfriendly. It seemed that she didn't have good intentions going to LA. "I'll give you a piece of advice. In the next 2 weeks, you better go traveling. Don't go back to LA. Chapter 2950. "Sorry," Chun Zhao replied with a smile. "Traveling isn't in my plan." "Okay," Amada said. "Then you better hide at home and don't come out." Chun Zhao didn't know where Amada came from. However, she seemed to be hostile toward Chun Zhao. Nevertheless, at this wedding-themed party, the two still gave each other some dignity. Amada looked at Chun Zhao's back. "Investigate who that man is." The tall and fat bodyguard beside her said in a low voice, "Miss, I've already investigated. He's a rich man in L.A. with over $10 billion. He's been in this country for less than 3 years. He's suspected to be a spiritualist." "No need to suspect," Amada said. "He's definitely one." "Then will our actions conflict with him?" "I hope not," Amada said. Amada said, "After all, the impact of killing a billionaire is too great. However, if he must participate in the process of our conquest, then try to make it as clean as possible, or make it look like an accident." At the wedding party, Chun Zhao and Amada didn't interact anymore. Although they occasionally met, they acted like they didn't know each other and gave their blessings to the two main characters of the wedding. Under Ellie and Marguerite's guidance, Chun Zhao also greeted their friends and family. Everyone would greet each other in unfamiliar, yet passionate ways. Of course, compared to the complexity of adults, children were much simpler. They loved this kind of festive and lively atmosphere. After the wedding, Chun Zhao didn't return to L.A. immediately. Instead, he stayed the night in San Francisco. At night, Qin Zhao went to the forest. There was a faint aura in the air. Qin Zhao found Victoria. At the moment, Victoria was like a small mountain. No creature in the forest could threaten her. Of course, even humans. Unless it was an army, they wouldn't be able to threaten her. Victoria also recognized Qin Zhao. Or perhaps he recognized Qin Zhao through smell. They were as close as ever. Victoria nudged Qin Zhao with her big head. Qin Zhao wrapped his arms around Victoria. He couldn't even hug Victoria's head. She was really too big, due to her barbaric growth. She was even bigger than Qin Zhao's princess. Qin Zhao took out the demonic crystal. It was Victoria's favorite food. Maybe it wasn't just food to her. Qin Zhao also thought about taking Victoria away. However, after some consideration, he gave up on this idea. Victoria didn't belong to him, but it was also Morgary's family. Qin Zhao came quietly and then left quietly. The forest was huge, and under normal circumstances, Victoria City would be safe. Of course, this was only under normal circumstances. As long as there was human activity, it could not be said to be absolutely safe. The next day, he brought his family back to Los Angeles. Bang bang, Xiao He and Carrie were startled awake. They ran out of their respective rooms. What happened? I don't know. Was that a knock on the door? Xiao, he pulled open the curtains of the living room and saw a car parked by the roadside. Qin Zhao was standing in front of the car. The loud noise was clearly caused by him. When Carrie saw him, her face paled. Seeing Jia Liwen's expression, Xiao He immediately said angrily, "Don't be afraid of him. I'll teach him a lesson." As she spoke, Xiao He strode to open the door. "Are you crazy? Do you know what time it is? Call Carrie out. I'm going to bed. If there's anything else, we'll talk tomorrow. As the daughter of a broken family, you don't seem to have any intention of going back. This won't do, so I've decided." "You've decided what?" Qin Zhao hooked his finger and Xiao He was pulled out. The next moment, Xiao He heard the sound of a window breaking behind her. Carrie also broke out of the window. Qin Zhao threw the two girls into the car. "What are you doing? I'm warning you. Don't do anything stupid." Qin Zhao ignored the two women's panicked warnings and continued driving. Xiao He was so angry that she wanted to fight. But Qin Zhao's next words chilled her heart. "You two better behave. My car is worth more than both of you combined. Before you fight, you better think about whether you can afford it or not." The pauper duo immediately behaved themselves. Xiao He had heard from Carrie that she had accidentally shattered the glass of Qin Zhao's cafeteria. Then, Qin Zhao dared to ask her for $1 billion. If they scratched even a bit of his car, he would skin them alive. Soon, Qin Zhao stopped the car. "Get out." After the two women got out of the car, they discovered that there was a house in front of them that was immersed in darkness. The two women instantly felt a gust of chilly wind. Mr. Qin, I have class tomorrow." Xiao He admitted defeat. Why did he have to stand up for Carrie? He had no money, no manpower, and no strength. Why was she so stupid? "There's an evil spirit inside. Destroy it and you can go home." "Just one evil spirit?" Xiao He asked. "Yes, it's just an evil spirit." "What level? Is it disaster level?" If it was just a ferocious spirit, Xiao He felt that it was still possible, but it couldn't be disaster level. Of course, it was unlikely. It was almost impossible for a disaster-level evil spirit to appear in such a densely populated area. "No, not disaster level," Qin Zhao said. "So it's only disaster level." Qin Zhao nodded. "It's a little stronger than disaster level. Destroy it and we can go?" "Yes." "Yuan Wu, what are disaster level, disaster level?" "It's a classification for evil spirits or magical beasts. Disaster level is the highest. It's as hard to fight against as a natural disaster. It can cause great damage in a certain area. Disaster level is second. It can cause a certain amount of damage in a small area. Disaster level is a huge threat to a family. Below that are normal evil spirits." What level is the spirit nest? Disaster level. In other words, that fellow said that I can deal with the disaster level evil spirit inside. Theoretically, yes, but what? Level doesn't represent reality. Never mind. Let's see what kind of evil spirit it is. Yuanwu was worried that Chen Zhao had prepared a spirit nest for Carrie 2 nights ago. It wouldn't be weakened this time. So Yuanwu was worried that there was something fishy about the evil spirit inside. What are you waiting for? Go in. Chen Zhao kicked Carrie's butt, and she flew into the room. Carrie was angry at such ungentlemanly behavior, but she didn't dare to say anything. She muttered as she followed Xiao He into the house. Chapter 2951. Xiao He and Jia Liwen both wanted to finish as soon as possible. After entering the house, they saw a twisted evil spirit with only a pair of legs, but 6 upper bodies. This evil spirit didn't avoid them. Its 6 crooked heads looked at Xiao He and Jia Liwen. The 2 girls had seen a bit of the world. There was nothing to be afraid of for a mere evil spirit. Don't be afraid. Go up and fight. Xiao He made a hand seal and chanted in a low voice, "Summon blood god, my venerable spell." The next moment, Xiao He slapped her forehead. A golden red mark that looked like a fire pattern appeared on her forehead. Xiao He took a horse stance. That evil spirit had already rushed up. Its 6 upper bodies bared their fangs and pounced at Xiao He. Xiao He moved and dodged the attack of the 12 sharp claws. She turned around and slapped one of the evil spirit's upper bodies. A scorching flame power burst out of Xiao He's palm. In an instant, the upper body that was slapped exploded. 1 down. Xiao He took 2 steps back. She looked quite relaxed. Impressive. Jia Liwen was very surprised. She didn't expect Xiao He to be so powerful. That's nothing. She's just using a force-borrowing spell. What force-borrowing spell? It's a spell that borrows the power of gods, ancestors, or nature. There are many similar spells in both the East and the West. Pu said disapprovingly, looking at her hand seal and chant just now. She should be borrowing the power of the fire spirit. Then isn't borrowing the power of gods the most powerful? Of course not. With the same magic power, borrowing the power of gods is the least, because the requirements for borrowing the power of gods are very strict. On the contrary, the power of ancestors is the easiest to borrow. You can borrow more power with a relatively small amount of magic power, and the price is very small or even no price. Moreover, the power of ancestors and the caster have an extremely high compatibility, so it's easier to use. What type of spell did you give me? It's not any type. It's just a simple circulation method. Combined with some simple breathing and releasing, you can compare magic power to fuel. Some powerful spells can be compared to a highly efficient engine. The breathing method you know now is to directly use fuel to spray others. Hearing Hu's words, Carrie was instantly disappointed. So the things I know are so low level. Why don't you teach me something more advanced? No, I'm a divine beast. How could I know a human's cultivation technique? Don't you cultivate yourself? You won't be able to understand my cultivation method. Telling you more is just a waste of my breath. Then I don't have a place to look? You can ask Xiao He and see if she is willing to teach you her cultivation method. But you'd better not have too much hope. Her cultivation method has obvious traces of being passed down in her family, and it is estimated that there is also a bloodline requirement. Even if she is willing to teach you, you may not be able to practice it. At this moment, Xiao He was concentrating on dealing with the evil spirit in front of her. In the blink of an eye, another upper body was destroyed. Just when Xiao He was about to say something arrogant, she saw that the upper body of the first one that was blown up actually started to recover. Xiao He's countenance changed. Oh no, it's the root link spirit. The so-called root spirit was a spirit body with an extremely strong regenerative ability. As long as it was not instantly destroyed, even if there was only a small part left, it could still regenerate. Just like the legendary Hydra, As long as it had one head left, it could be reborn. Xiao, he had never seen a root spirit with 6 bodies like the one in front of her. However, this was clearly not an ordinary calamity evil spirit, but to say that it had reached the level of a calamity, it was not. Jia Liwen, don't be in a daze. Attack it with me. Jia Liwen hurriedly joined the battle. However, the two of them clearly did not have enough attack power. From a certain point of view, this root spirit was even more difficult than the spirit nest from the day before. The two of them had put in a lot of effort, but in the end, they had only destroyed the upper body of the root spirit. Moreover, if they could not quickly deal with it, it was very likely that their previous efforts would have been in vain. Do you have a more ferocious attack? Jia Liwen asked Yuan Wu. Right now, the two of them clearly did not have enough attack power. This Lian Zhen spirit was too difficult to deal with, even though its own strength was nothing to worry about. Although its own strength was really nothing to worry about, its regenerative ability was truly despairing. Without enough attack power, it was impossible to deal with. Cooperate with me. I'll attack, Yuan Wu said. All right, how do you want me to cooperate with you? Raise your qi, exhale, and press your palm against your dantian. This is the position, right? How many times have I taught you? Point your navel downwards. All right, is this the right position? All right, here it comes. Yuan Wu burrowed out of Jia Liwen's body, its claws suddenly tearing apart the root spirit in front of it. Xiao, he could not see Yuan Wu, but she could clearly feel a powerful aura surging out from Jia Liwen's body. Immediately after, the root spirit was torn into strips by that thing. Phew, it's done. Jia Liwen's legs suddenly went soft, and she lay on the ground. However, before the two of them could even catch their breath, a scene that made them despair appeared. Each strip of the root spirit that had been torn into strips began to extend new limbs, 6 new bodies. Xiao, he and Jia Liwen were dumbfounded. The two of them looked at each other and shouted, "Run!" The root spirit in front of them had turned into dozens of upper bodies, like the 1,000-armed Guanyin. Not only had its shape changed, but its aura had also become more than 10 times stronger. Boom! The two of them were thrown out of the house and landed right in front of Qin Zhao. Qin Zhao looked at the root spirit that had squeezed out. Amazing. This is the first time I've seen a spirit purge that can level up an evil spirit. You can raise a disaster level evil spirit to disaster level. You're really amazing. The two of them looked at Qin Zhao, flustered. Qin Zhao actually wanted them to continue, but the thing before them had clearly surpassed their limit. It was the same level as the spirit nest yesterday, both at the disaster level. But even at the same level, there were different levels of combat power. This thing was much stronger than the spirit nest. Nearly 100 evil spirits with half bodies surged out like a tide. They seemed to want to drown the three of them. Qin Zhao reached out and grabbed. The root spirit was instantly squeezed into a ball. Jia Liwen's and Xiao, his eyes almost fell out. That's it. That's it. What happened to the 300 rounds of battle? The two didn't talk when they were running. However, it was very obvious that he was trying to divert the trouble. It would be best if Qin Zhao and the root spirit died together. That would be the most perfect ending. Even if it didn't work, at least Qin Zhao would have to use a lot of effort to finish off the root spirit. Then, the two of them would be able to reap the benefits. But what kind of script was this? This wasn't the script they wanted. Chapter 2952. Take this manual. There's a surprise waiting for you tomorrow. Qin Zhao glanced at the two girls. Their faces were already pale from fear. Tomorrow? That was going to cost their lives. Did he have to risk his life fighting with these repulsive people every day? Qin Zhao's gaze suddenly landed on Yu Wu, who was behind Carrie. If you look at me like that again, I'll gouge out your eyeballs. Yu Wu froze. You can see me? Do you think it's hard for me to find one or two monsters that escaped from the beast steel with my abilities? Yuwu stopped talking. Chen Zhao was telling the truth. With his abilities, he might not be able to catch all the monsters that escaped. But it would be a joke if he said he couldn't find a single one. Chen Zhao looked at the bead he'd made with the root spirit. The bead was almost weightless. After all, the root spirit was a spirit. He flicked it to Carrie and turned to get in the car. Wait, you're just going to leave us here? Can't you get in the car yourself? For Carrie and Xiao He, this was just the start of their suffering. Every night after that, Chen Zhao would bring the two girls out. Nevertheless, Carrie's abilities improved day by day, especially after Yu Wu ate the bead made with the root spirit that night. His abilities more than doubled. Regular spirits didn't improve his abilities at all, but the root spirit was a disaster-level evil spirit. This wasn't something that could happen every day, even if there was a second disaster-level evil spirit in front of them. Even if they had the ability to defeat it, they might not have the chance to devour it. At most, they would just take a few bites of the leftovers. There weren't many arrays that Chen Zhao could make into beads like the other night. The second was the cultivation technique manual that Jia Liwen had obtained. This was what Carrie lacked the most. However, it wasn't something that could be learned in a day. Therefore, Carrie's own improvement wasn't fast. Fortunately, Yu Wu's improvement was also reflected in her. Chen Zhao focused on finding all kinds of enemies for them. He was strong, and his attacks weren't restricted to the norm. It had to be said that their combat experience had increased significantly in the past few days. Blackie returned. He suddenly appeared when Chen Zhao and his family were having dinner. Chen Zhao glared at Blackie annoyed. He stopped Blackie and told him to wait for the family to finish their dinner. After dinner, Chen Zhao entered the space crevice. How is it? Did you find anything? I've been venturing deep into the core of the feathered serpent god's world. When I got close to the core, I found a huge underground cavern. I can sense something filling the entire cavern. Perhaps it's the soul of the world you're looking for, but I can't be sure. I've never seen such a huge spiritual body before. I even suspect that it's a spiritual body. Chen Zhao's eyes hardened. Looks like I was right. Your guess? My current realm has always been lacking, but I've always been thinking about where I'm lacking. The circulation of my inner world is already quite perfect, and I can't find any flaws. Therefore, I'm thinking, since humans have souls, does the world also have souls? If a world has a soul, then what my inner world lacks to transform into a small world is a soul. In that case, let's go and take a look at the so-called world soul. Chen Zhao and Blackie moved immediately. He arrived in the world of the feathered serpent god. The cavern was near the center of the earth. If it was a normal person, even if they knew that there was something there, they could only look at it and sigh. Chen Zhao didn't have such worries. He directly went down. The ground and rock layers were no different from tofu to Chen Zhao. The closer they got to the cavern, the more Chen Zhao could feel the aura that could be described as vast. When Chen Zhao and Blackie arrived at the cavern, they felt that they were in this aura. No consciousness. Chen Zhao and Blackie glanced at each other. This thing didn't have any desire to attack them. Or rather, they didn't even feel any emotions. Chen Zhao's heart jumped. His inner world revolved wildly, sucking the huge soul into it. But as soon as Chen Zhao did so, the soul actually fused into his inner world. What's going on? Wait, why is it so easy? Even a normal spiritual body would struggle when it's absorbed, let alone a world soul. Chen Zhao didn't feel any resistance. On the contrary, the spiritual body was very obedient and cooperative. Chen Zhao absorbed more than half of it effortlessly. No, this isn't a complete soul. It's a fragment, Blackie said. How is that possible? Such a huge soul fragment? How big is the whole thing? Chen Zhao could feel that the soul was at least as big as a city. but it was just a fragment. Under normal circumstances, an ordinary spirit body would be blasted into at least a few dozen pieces when it was shattered. The original body of the soul might have been shattered long ago, Blackie said. Maybe you broke it. That was possible. Chen Zhao thought back to the battle. In the end, he'd used a super meteor to hit the surface. It was very likely that the attack had shattered the world soul. It was because the world soul had been shattered. That was why he could easily merge with the fragment of the world's intent and steal the foundation of the world. Moreover, he had the majority of the initiative. The remaining part didn't attack Qin Zhao either. Everything made sense now. That strike had already shattered the world's soul. The world's intent was gone. Because of this, the fragment of the world soul would see him as the original body when he absorbed it. It instinctively got close to him and cooperated with his absorption. Simply put, Chen Zhao now represented the world's intent. The entire fragment was completely absorbed by Chen Zhao. In the inner world, the soul fragment was melted, disintegrated, and then reconstructed. Chen Zhao didn't even need to interfere in this process. The inner world seemed to know what to do instinctively. A blurry figure appeared in the inner world. It was very blurry and the face couldn't be seen clearly, but one could tell from the outline that it was Chen Zhao's image. Blackie looked at Qin Zhao as if he could see some changes in Qin Zhao. How is it? Yes, I can feel that the inner world is becoming complete, but to make it complete on its own will probably take hundreds or thousands of years. I need more soul fragments. Feel it hard, Blackie said. It's a part of you. You should be able to find the other fragments more easily than me, as long as they still exist in this world. Chapter 2953. Feel it with force? Blackie's choice of words was exquisite. Actually, he was using his own soul power to spread it out. It was like using a huge magnetic field as the source. Soul magnetic fields would attract each other. Moreover, Chen Zhao was blessed by the heavens here. The entire world belonged to him. Chen Zhao's consciousness spread across the mountains and rivers, crossing the vast ocean. He jumped into the abyss and crossed the endless plains. Found it. Chen Zhao retracted his consciousness. He sensed about 7 huge soul fragments. The soul fragment Chen Zhao had absorbed was the largest one, hidden deep underground. The others weren't small either. Apart from the remaining 7, there were also hundreds of smaller ones scattered in every corner of the world. Qin Zhao had a thought. Instantly, he appeared before the second largest soul fragment with Blackie. With a thought, Qin Zhao and Blackie appeared before the second largest soul fragment in an instant. This soul fragment was hidden deep under the sea. It was even smoother than the first time. The moment Qin Zhao appeared, the soul fragment burrowed into his body. The moment the second soul fragment fused with the inner world, the figure in the inner world became clearer too. The third soul fragment, he could already see the face of the figure in the inner world. The fourth soul fragment, the inner world had truly transformed. The fifth, the sixth, the figure in the inner world was actually shrinking slowly. No, it wasn't shrinking. It was becoming young again. From 30 to 20, 20 to 10, and then to a baby. Then the baby became an egg. The energy in the inner world started pouring into the egg. The egg started hatching, and the baby crawled out. The eggshell was refined by the baby and then reversed. It became a teenager, a young man, a strong man, an old man, and finally it decayed. After decaying, the energy returned to the world. The world was reconstructed and formed a new egg. This happened repeatedly. Egg, baby, teenager, young man, strong man, old man, decay. Each cycle was extremely perfect. The inner world seemed to be nourished. The inner world actually produced spiritual qi. Chen Zhao suddenly opened his eyes. At this moment, he had truly ascended. A perfect ascension. His colleagues also had a perfect inner world. Chen Zhao no longer needed the outer world to absorb the spiritual qi. His inner world could produce spiritual qi on its own. At this moment, Chen Zhao had truly transcended. Blackie had been following beside Qin Zhao silently. He felt Qin Zhao's change. Did you succeed? Yes. Qin Zhao nodded. Do you need the remaining fragments of the world's soul? Don't you need it? Qin Zhao thought for a moment and said, There's not much point. If I absorb the remaining soul fragment, I can become stronger to a certain extent, but it's a waste. Then leave it to me. I want to study the world soul. I will also collect the small fragments scattered everywhere. Qin Zhao nodded. The world soul fragment could be said to be a supreme treasure. Of course, Qin Zhao wouldn't share it with outsiders. Blackie, on the other hand, was one of them, and he had played a huge role in finding the first fragment of the world soul. By the way, if you swallow this thing, can you become an existence like the Grim Reaper? Blackie thought about it and shook his head. This thing is too big. It will take a long time to swallow. I'm not sure if I can transform. Blackie had already transformed once, from a soul-bringer to a death-bringer. But in essence, Blackie hadn't changed. His duties and functions hadn't changed. The only change was that Blackie could appear in front of ordinary people as long as he wanted. Of course, Blackie had never done that before. Qin Zhao was also curious. If Blackie transformed again, could he evolve into the legendary Grim Reaper? Or something else? Here, Qin Zhao could do many things. He could teleport to any corner of the world instantly. This was just one of the skills Qin Zhao had discovered. No, it shouldn't be called a skill. It should be called a power. But Qin Zhao was still very unfamiliar with it. Qin Zhao didn't know what else he could do. Anyway, he had a long way to go. He didn't need to rush. When he returned to Earth, Qin Zhao realized that 3 days had passed. It wasn't because the time flow was different between the two worlds. It was because Qin Zhao had been immersed in the transformation process. Before he knew it, 3 days had passed. The world soul in his inner world basically went through a transformation cycle every 24 hours, from new life to decay, and then from decay to new life. Amada walked on the tree-lined path. This road had been around for 300 years. From the moment their family moved to this continent, from the moment their family settled in this country, this road had been built. Their family was the Felix family, an ancient and mysterious magic family. But they also had an illustrious name, a 1,000-year-old family. Before they moved to this land, they were a prominent family in Europe. There were big nobles in the world of ordinary people. The Felix family was the royal family of the magic world. There were only a few families that could compare to the Felix family. In their most glorious time, the Felix family had almost controlled the magic world of Europe. But their most glorious time was also their most painful time. The Felix family was overthrown. With the Scarlet Church as the main force, the Allied forces, led by the 20th Blood Mary, became the culprit of the Felix family's death. The Felix family suffered a crushing defeat. From the top combat power to the bottom structure, the 20th Blood Mary and her Allied forces completely defeated the Felix family. The Felix family's divine artifact was sealed. Their top combat power died in battle. The remaining family members left Europe under the lead of the eldest son of the family leader at that time. To avoid being targeted by their enemies, the Felix family remained silent for 300 years. A whole 300 years. Even their former enemies had forgotten about the Felix family's existence. But they didn't disappear. The Felix family never disappeared. They still existed. They were just waiting for an opportunity. Finally, the opportunity came. Not long ago, the sleeping family woke up. The first sign was the awakening of the family's powerhouses that had been sleeping for hundreds of years. The second sign was that the sealed family's divine artifact had been unsealed without any warning. And many ordinary members of the family suddenly awakened their bloodline. All the signs pointed to the return of the Felix family. It was like a beautiful note drawn by fate. All the signs indicated the arrival of a new era. Every awakened would remember the humiliation their family had suffered in the past. Their hatred was passed down from generation to generation. Amada was the representative of the new generation. She had a noble bloodline, strength, and a hatred of the past. Now, she was going to carry out the first order given by the family with the other new generation. Her mission was to conquer California. Yes, to inform the spiritual world of California. The other family members more or less received the same mission. When the whole family controlled the entire North American spiritual world, the family would have enough resources to deal with their past enemies one by one. Chapter 2954. Through the forest path, they came to a meadow. Dozens of the new generation of the clan were training here. Unlike Amada, who had awakened her magic at a young age, most of them had awakened less than 3 years ago. Some of them had even awakened recently. Amada is here. Amada, our big sister. Amada was proud. She could be proud. Facing the new generation, Amitha's strength had almost reached the upper limit of the new generation. She even surpassed many of the older generation. She was synonymous with genius. Of course, there was no shortage of geniuses in the Felix family. Amada was just one of them. On the second night of awakening at the age of 5, she had broken the record of the Felix family. She had already received all the attention and training. Of course, Amada did not disappoint those expectations and training. A trainer came up to her. "Miss Amada, why are you here?" "I'm here to choose some people," Amada said. "What about these little guys?" The little ones that Amada spoke of were actually many older than her. But no one objected to Amitha's words. Even the eyes of the new generation were filled with eagerness to try. "Amada, choose me. I will help you take care of all your enemies," a burly young man said. His gaze towards Amada was filled with fanaticism and adoration. Amada did not agree immediately. "That depends on your performance. Don't let me down." The trainer said, "That's Dewick, a guy who has tempered his body to the extreme. If he goes all out, he can even take a tank's bombardment." "Oh, that's strong?" "Yes, with the blessing of a secret method. It doesn't last long, but almost no one can hurt him during the duration of the secret method." "Then count him in," Amada said. "Dewick, come here. Do you have any other recommendations?" The trainer introduced the new generation one by one, explaining in detail what they were good at and their level of strength. Amada was very satisfied with the selected new generation. It seemed that during this time, everyone's strength had improved at an alarming rate. "Jalanash, I need your help." "Sorry, I can't help you." Jalanash refused Nar's request without hesitation, even when Nelson was looking at her with big watery eyes. "No, only you can help me." "No, I can't help you." Jalanash rejected Nar expressionlessly. "If you don't help me, I'll sell this dragon bone ring. This dragon bone ring should be worth a lot of money." "If you sell it, you won't get any more magic tools," Jalanash said. "You can't be so cruel." "I don't think I'm cruel. On the contrary, I'm kind enough," Jalanash said nonchalantly. "Why do you think you're still here? If it wasn't for my protection, you would have been dragged back by your family. Then help me one more time, one last time, the last time this year." Nar hugged Jalanash, trying to soften her heart this way. "I just want a dress. It's only $3,000. It's this year's latest style. I'm only short of $1,000 right now. I only need you to lend me $1,000. For you, it's not even enough for a single cultivation session. The money I spend on training will become my safety during missions." "That dress won't do," Jalanash said. "If you need to buy magic materials for training, I'll be happy to support you, but you're buying a dress. Then just pretend I'm doing it for training." "No, you're not." Nar threw himself onto the sofa and waved his arms, crying and yelling like a child. "If you need money, you can join the supernatural organization. Even if you're just an outer member, it'll be enough for your expenses." "No, I won't waste my best years on those boring missions. If the supernatural organization is really sincere, then your chairman should come personally to ask me to join and give me an official member status and a high salary. You can tell our chairman what you want. I don't want to. He'll beat me to death. Rolling her eyes, Jalanash walked away. Where are you going? Back to my room. Also, I have a mission tonight. Good night. An AR bounced up from the sofa. Mission? I'll help you, and you can share some of the money with me. Jalanash was about to refuse, but then she thought about it. It might be a good chance for NAR to train. After NAR had run away from the family he'd been by her side, Jalanash knew her family's harsh environment. Back then, she hadn't been outstanding enough, so she'd been sent out or exiled. Nar's talent was much better than hers, but her personality was too undisciplined. If she returned to the family and didn't improve, she'd be slandered and humiliated in the future. To her, however much praise she'd received in the past would be how much slander and humiliation she'd suffered in the future. Sure, Jalanash said. What's our mission tonight? On a road into L.A., an unknown magical beast appeared. Looks like a crystal reindeer. What's a crystal reindeer? It's a magical beast. Is it strong? How strong is it? If it's a reindeer, it should be tame, right? Beasts that cannot be communicated with are dangerous, especially magical beasts that possess mana and magic. Crystal reindeer is on the list of dangerous magical beasts. Although they don't eat meat, it doesn't mean they won't attack humans. How strong? Disaster level. Or I hope it's only disaster level. What do you mean? Could it be that it can still grow? Crystal reindeers are one of the few magical beasts that can evolve. Once it evolves, it might evolve into a disaster reindeer. Disaster reindeer? Disaster level? Yes, but the chances are low. There were about 300 crystal reindeers discovered in the past 100 years, and only 2 of them evolved into disaster reindeers. So the chances are low. Jalanash, you know how to tame magic, right? Why don't you tame this crystal reindeer? If you don't want it, you can give it to me. Jalanash glanced at NAR. You can't even feed yourself. How can you feed a magical beast, especially a crystal reindeer that feeds on magic crystals? Taming magical beasts wasn't an exclusive secret. Apart from the super professionals, many families or organizations had mastered several types of magic to tame magical beasts. But taming magic wasn't easy and could even be considered cumbersome. Chapter 2955. Most people couldn't even tame ordinary wild animals, much less magical beasts. Like in the novels, taming powerful magical beasts to become stronger wasn't unheard of in reality, but it was very difficult. Is it still your team this time? No, it's just me and you. Nair had gone on a few missions with Jalanash, or rather, to join in the fun. So, she was quite familiar with Jalanash's team members. Why are you going on a mission alone this time? Don't tell me you took on a private job? 2 missions are overlapping, so our team will split up. I'll be in charge of the Crystal Reindeer mission, and they'll be in charge of the other mission. Are you sure you can do it alone? No, it's 2 people. You've left yourself out. Nair was speechless. Actually, she'd been with Jalanash for a few months now. She'd long known the difference in power between her and Jalanash. Jalanash, who'd been exiled by her family because of her talent, had long surpassed her, a genius of the family. And not just a little bit, but completely. It wasn't that Nair hadn't thought about joining the supernatural organization, but she also knew that she'd have to return to her family sooner or later. So, she hadn't really joined the organization, although no one would stop her from going to the organization's headquarters. But there must be some things in the organization that she hadn't come into contact with. Of course, Nair didn't want to explore other people's secrets, just like how her family had secrets too, who didn't have a few hidden stashes. Sitting in Jalanash's car, they arrived at a road outside the city. Jolene Nash made a phone call and temporarily closed that section of the road. Nair, put on the dragon bone ring. Also, put on this too. What's this? A magic item made of dragon blood crystals. It can provide you with a large amount of magic power in a short time. Keep this for yourself. You're more useful than me." Expressionlessly, Jalanash fished out a handful of dragon blood crystals from her bag. Nair looked at Jalanash speechlessly and silently hung the pendant around her neck. "That magical beast's aura is very strong. It should be nearby. It's not disaster level, but close," Jalanash said seriously. "Cast a magic shield on yourself first." "Jalanash, why are you using your magic shield so early? It will consume too much mana for me to maintain the magic shield. I won't have any extra mana to help you in a battle. I gave you the dragon blood crystal to replenish your mana. Judging from your aura, no matter how much mana you have left, you won't be able to participate in this battle. It's not like I haven't met calamity-level opponents before. Don't underestimate me." Jalanash glanced at Nal. "There are differences in the level of disaster too. The difference between the strong and the weak can be more than 10 times. What we're facing now is an extremely dangerous magical beast that's close to disaster level. It's worlds apart from the so-called disaster level beasts you've encountered before. You're only slightly stronger than me," Nal said stubbornly. Actually, she knew that Jalanash was not just a little stronger than her. They were not on the same level at all. Only when you can maintain the magic shield and mana balance at the same time will you have the right to say that to me. Nar no longer argued. Strength was the best explanation, and it was useless to say more. Suddenly, a violent aura hit them in the face. Nal almost lost her footing, and the magic shield on her also rippled. Jalanash frowned. This extremely violent aura was really not like a crystal reindeer. It was more like a carnivorous, magical beast. It seemed that the intelligence was wrong. It shouldn't be a crystal reindeer. Jalanash suddenly stood still. "Here it comes. That thing is approaching." A red figure appeared 100 meters in front of Jalanash and Nar. It was a reindeer. It was indeed a reindeer, but most of its skin had fallen off, revealing the red crystals inside. And its horns were no longer in the shape of antlers, but spiral demon horns. Its eyes were crimson, and when it opened its mouth, it revealed a mouthful of fangs. Jalanash sucked in a sharp breath. "Oh no, that's a mutant." There were mutants in magical beasts too. The appearance of mutant magical beasts was always the case where the strong became stronger and the weak became weaker. For example, the mutant crystal reindeer in front of them. The crystal reindeer was already very strong, and after the mutation, it had surpassed the habits of its species. Its mouthful of fangs was the best proof. That mouth full of sharp teeth was definitely not prepared to be eaten by vegetarians. The crystal reindeer used to be pure, white crystals, but now the crystal exposed by the mutant was like a burning flame. Jalanash immediately raised her arm, and a several-meter-tall frost spirit appeared in front of her. "I am Winter." The frost spirit let out a cold and low roar. "Go! Freeze everything," Jalanash ordered. Nar, on the other hand, was shocked. Frost spirit, a branch of the water element, advanced ice magic. There were a few elders in the family who could cast it, but they needed a long time to chant and prepare before they could barely summon a frost spirit. How could it be so illegal? No chanting, no preparation, and just a raise of the hand to summon one. The frost spirit was covered in ice armor, and inside the armor was a swirling ball of cold air. With a powerful blade, it charged toward the mutant crystal reindeer. "Freeze, living thing!" The frost spirit rushed to within 10 meters of the mutant crystal reindeer, raised its arm, and shot out an extreme cold air. The mutant crystal reindeer stepped on the ground with its front hooves. In an instant, a circle of hot flames spread out, dissolving the cold air. Then, the mutant crystal reindeer charged forward. Clang! The steel-like ice armor was instantly shattered. In the next instant, the frost spirit's body seemed to have been buried with countless grenades, and it kept exploding. In the end, the frost spirit completely shattered, leaving behind a pile of debris that quickly melted. "So strong!" Nar exclaimed. Jalanash frowned. So strong! This mutant crystal reindeer seemed a bit too strong. The frost spirit she summoned was also disaster level, but in the blink of an eye, it was killed by the mutant crystal reindeer. It really was a bit too strong. But the strength of the mutant crystal reindeer also ignited Jalanash's fighting spirit. She spread her arms, and a pair of wings formed by cold air appeared on her back. Looks like I have to go all out. Jalanash also released a powerful aura. Chapter 2956. Dozens of fireballs suddenly appeared around the mutant crystal reindeer. Jalanash immediately covered herself with a layer of ice armor. Anayar, back off. I don't have time to protect you now. Anayar didn't say anything like, I'll stay and help you. That would make her look even more stupid. She decisively backed off. Although she couldn't help Jalanash with her current strength, she didn't want to be a burden to her. At this time, the mutant crystal reindeer attacked. Dozens of fireballs were shot at Jalanash. Jalanash waved one hand, and an extremely cold air swept across. The dozens of fireballs all turned into ice lumps and fell to the ground. Jalanash grasped in the air, and a pair of ice swords appeared in her palms. Then she shot the ice swords at the crystal reindeer. The demon horn on top of the crystal reindeer's head shot out a red light, shattering one of the ice swords. But the second ice sword followed. Hiss! The ice sword slashed across the demon horn, leaving a scratch on the side. Jalanash was a bit disappointed, but not surprised. However, Jalanash's attack had enraged the mutant crystal reindeer. The mutant crystal reindeer's breath became more violent. Jalanash grasped in the air, and a dozen spikes suddenly drilled out of the ground around the crystal reindeer, intertwining with each other. They locked the crystal reindeer's body tightly. The crystal reindeer suddenly howled. The howl wasn't loud, but it was unusually sharp. The sound seemed to have a certain frequency. The fire elements in the air seemed to be ignited. Flames began to appear in the air. Blizzard! Jalanash yelled. The temperature within 1,000 miles instantly dropped. The original flames disappeared and were replaced by the cold temperature. Jalanash raised her arms and slowly rose into the air. Icy meteorite! Whoosh! An ice ball with a diameter of more than 10 meters fell from the sky. Boom! The crystal reindeer didn't back down. Even hotter flames burst out from its demon horn, instantly shattering the falling ice ball. But Jalanash's move was a big one. There was more than one icy meteorite. More and more icy meteorites fell through the blizzard. The mutant crystal reindeer was shocked and hurriedly dodged a falling ice meteorite. However, Jalanash seized the opportunity and reached out to grab the mutant crystal reindeer as it dodged. Ice chains shot out from the snow and bound the mutant crystal reindeer tightly. Although a few of the mutant crystal reindeer managed to break free, there were even more ice chains binding it. Then, another icy meteor smashed into its head. Then the second, the third, the fourth, the violent fire elementals in the surroundings had calmed down. Jalanash let out a long sigh of relief. The consecutive big moves just now had given her quite a bit of pressure. In just a dozen minutes, 60% of his magic power had been consumed. Jalanash sensed and found the location of the mutant crystal reindeer. With a grasp of his palm, the mutant crystal reindeer was lifted into the air, but it was completely frozen. It wasn't completely dead. Jalanash could still feel its presence. However, it was now completely restrained and couldn't move at all. The ice that sealed it was not an ordinary ice block, but a pure frost aura of extreme cold. Its main function was to suppress the fire elementals. Even if the mutant crystal reindeer could still cast magic, the frost would also block its resonance with the fire elementals. Clap, clap, clap. Suddenly, there was a round of applause in the blizzard. Beautiful, so beautiful. Hearing the applause, Jalanash couldn't help but frown. She didn't sense the other person's presence at all. No, How did Nar's presence disappear? Did she die from the shockwave? Jala Nash waved her hand, and the blizzard stopped. Not far away, a few people were standing. The leader was a black-haired woman in her early 20s. Behind her were a dozen equally young people, and Nar was being carried by one of the men. However, Nar was unconscious at the moment. Who are you people? I'm Amada. Guys, if it's convenient, can you return my friend to me? Jala Nash looked at Amada and the others. Of course. Amada smiled back. But can you give that little guy to me? Jala Nash glanced at the frozen, mutant crystal reindeer. The little guy you're talking about isn't easy to deal with. It's fine. Didn't you already freeze it? I have to say, you solved a big problem for me. Amada smiled. Its mutated form and its strength both exceeded my expectations. If it wasn't for you, I'm afraid I would have to spend a lot of effort to solve this problem. If you want to take it to claim the bounty, I won't object. It's useless to me anyway, but can you return my friend to me first? But Amada shook her head and maintained her smile. She seemed to be chanting some kind of incantation. Jala Nash was immediately alerted. The woman in front of her gave her a dangerous feeling. She didn't know anything about the background of these people, but what was certain was that they were definitely not friends. Hum! Suddenly, the ice sealing the mutant crystal reindeer vibrated. Hum! Hum! This vibration was accompanied by a certain frequency. Hum! 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 The frequency increased. The next instant, the ice suddenly exploded. Jala Nash hurriedly dodged, and the magic inside the mutant crystal reindeer began to grow wildly. It was growing at a frightening speed. Jala Nash was about to suppress it, but the next moment, a murderous aura pressed toward Jala Nash. Little girl, you'd better behave yourself. Otherwise, your companion will die even faster. Jala Nash's brows showed a hint of darkness. What did you do? Jala Nash asked, pointing at the mutant crystal reindeer. Metamorphosis. I made it metamorphose. It hasn't gone through metamorphosis. Jala Nash was shocked. She had thought that the mutant crystal reindeer had mutated because of an accident during its metamorphosis. She didn't expect that its mutation wasn't caused by metamorphosis. It was already terrifying enough. With its current strength, it was close to the peak of calamity. It was just one step away from calamity. If it metamorphosed again, it would definitely surpass calamity or even reach an even more terrifying level. What are you trying to do? Amida kept smiling. Don't you understand? It's my pet. Coldness flashed in Jala Nash's eyes. In other words, you purposely placed it here to cause trouble? According to the information they had, the mutant crystal reindeer had already caused more than a dozen casualties. Yes, Amada replied calmly.